cooling and insulation weather.
We have some great September weather on the way. Temperatures will be a little bit above average, but not bad at all. Partly sunny skies on this afternoon. Nothing more than a spot shower. A light northwest breeze and 77. Tonight, clear skies, excellent. 58. Friday, sunny, delightful. 80 degrees, so mainly in the 70s. Saturday and Sunday, sunshine each day and 84. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
I'm busy arranging audio for this very program right now. Sometimes I have to shift things around. How is everyone? Fred's here. Sue's here.
Great.
Ethan has not pulled a piece of audio that I asked him to pull, so he's scrambling right now. I'm just going to out him. Why not? Right? No, he does a great job, but he did forget to pull something for me. I think we finally arrived officially at Thursday. I have felt the last couple of days should have been Thursday.
Yes.
It wasn't, but
It's a long week.
We are getting, I don't know what it is. It has been. Has it been a long week for you too, Sue? Because you were out for the first couple of days.
Discombobulated. I don't know what day it is.
I felt that I said that yesterday. Like I almost even don't know what week it is. That's
Yeah,
how weird the last
I get
couple of
that.
weeks have been.
I get
I keep
that.
looking at the calendar. I'm like, wait a second. Is October next week already?
Yes. By the way.
Remember when I was telling you about, I have to write a note to myself, my Christmas tree lighting folks, right? So they were hitting me up weeks ago for the preseason discount. So if you pay for the lighting now, you get 10%
Well, that's
off.
great, right? Then you just don't turn it on.
Well, no, but they're not installing them at that point. No.
Oh.
So in other words, they just do the billing. So they send it out to previous customers. Hey, if you want to take advantage, but they want you to pay now because they're putting them up soon. So I had, I'm going to beg them, by the way, Santa's elves, see if give them a little shout out here and say, hey, can I still get the 10% discount? Because I hadn't taken care of the invoice. You're looking at me like,
wait,
that's
why
something
would you
that's-
get a 10% discount?
Because maybe I didn't explain this well. They were offering a discount if you paid by like September 10th or something. So it's like the you pay now, you get 10% off.
All
We
right.
want to lock you in. So I don't have to pay it right now. Right. So I don't know if I get a discount, but I'm going to beg for the discount and just claim that I was remiss in my duties to send it before the discount. Does that make sense?
Yeah, why? I don't see
Did
why
I
they
mention
would.
Santa's elves are the ones that
by
do this?
2 days, but weeks later?
Well, it's only 2 weeks later.
Yeah, but it's weeks.
I'm
but
going to
good
challenge.
luck.
I'm going to
All
challenge the fact that it's actually 2 weeks today. Yes, I think it's 2 weeks ago today. Well, I don't know. I got to try though, right?
Yeah, give
Santa's
it a
elves.
shot.
Did I mention it was Santa's elves?
Okay.
Give them a no. I'll figure that out. But and then what happens is they do put them up on my house like before Halloween. Last year they put them up there before Halloween.
Wow.
That's early, right?
Yeah, and I remember you thinking, you're going to hold out. It's going to be great. You can hold out to the very end. And then you went early. You went like way early. And I can't remember.
Did you go before Thanksgiving?
I went before Thanksgiving.
It was the thing.
It was the thing. And I went Monday before Thanksgiving, maybe even Sunday night, just because I don't know. We were, it was election time last year, remember? And I felt like we just needed it. It was a rough ride up till the election. And, this was a couple weeks after Thanksgiving week. And I just felt like I wanted to feel the holiday spirit, which I do love the holidays. And I like the Christmas lights and everything. And I know that some people have like Halloween lights up at this point. Let me set things up here. We're going to talk a little bit more about what happened in Dallas yesterday with ICE. We have Scott Jennings on the show this afternoon. We're getting real close to his book coming out in November, and we're supposed to have an event here in St. Louis. I'm working with Scott's assistant on that. Hopefully we'll have something to announce soon. We'll have Sue's News in the next hour. Duane Patterson from Hot Air in the 5 o'clock hour. The Ryder Cup gets underway this weekend. Ethan, you're not as into golf as I am, but this Ryder Cup thing is different because it's the Europe against the Americans. European players who are mainly living here in America, by the way. I don't even know if they qualify as Europeans. It's so funny. They live in Florida. But this is like one of those, fan events where you get to cheer. I wish all professional golf was kind of like this, but there's a lot of cheering and there's a lot of celebrating. And it's more of a team event with the scoring being very difficult. As much as I know about golf, I could not even really explain to you the entire format of the Ryder Cup, which will start tomorrow. So Dan Reardon's going to be with us in just a little bit to highlight that story. Oh, and we had this last week, Sue, when you were gone, but I think we told you about this yesterday. Bill DeWitt III met Pope Leo at the Vatican.
Yeah, that's cool.
It is cool. He's going to join us here in just a few minutes, Mr. DeWitt will. So we'll obviously talk about that meeting. We'll ask a couple of questions about the state of the franchise as well here in just a couple of minutes. I'm just going to start with something here off the beaten track just to see what you guys think, because I came up with a little bit of a different perspective on this. And Fred, you brought this to my attention, but I'd already seen it. There's a story in the Post-Dispatch, and it says the headline is, "That sound was not gunfire, police say. A St. Louis alderwoman sideswiped a vehicle." So the story says gunfire.
This is fascinating.
Yeah, wait till you hear this. Okay. So, but I'm going to tell you, I judge some. We'll just see where you come out on this. Gunfire is rampant in Alderwoman Laura Key's North City neighborhood. So when she heard a loud noise Tuesday on her way to a police barbecue, she immediately thought her pickup truck had been struck by a bullet. She said, "It was so loud, I thought, oh God, am I shot? It was terrifying." She felt for blood along the right side of her body, but found none. She hit the gas to speed away. She was shaking so hard, she said, that her fingers couldn't dial 911. It wouldn't have mattered. Nobody would have answered you anyway. You know what? I literally, did you guys see the body that was outside of her building last night?
What?
Yeah. Right as I was leaving, there's a guy on the sidewalk, and I should have probably called 911, but I didn't, because we see that so often. Back to this story. It took her a few minutes to calm down enough to call police. The story says Keys, Alderwoman Laura Keys here, visits the gun range and knows what different caliber bullets sound like. She says, "I knew this wasn't a 22. I thought at least a 45 or maybe an assault rifle." So then the story goes on to say, police investigated the noise Keys heard on Fair Avenue about noon on Tuesday. She and an officer returned to the 4200 block of Fair and walked her route, picking up pieces of her side mirror. They reassembled all the pieces of the broken mirror like a puzzle, she said. Then a neighbor's doorbell camera showed police what actually happened. In the end, police say no one fired a shot at Key's vehicle. Her pickup truck had been, that's important distinction here. Her pickup truck had sideswiped another truck. Her truck's side mirror extends about 9 inches. Some of these trucks, their mirrors, they're way out there, right?
Yeah.
And it hit a similar mirror extending from a parked vehicle. She said the two mirrors hit one another or clapped. When she and the officer returned to the scene, the parked vehicle was gone. And the quote in the paper is, "If the person who owns the truck wants to contact me, they can. I'm insured. It's not an issue." So immediately when I see this story, I think, oh, this is like a Brandon Bosley thing when he was on the Board of Aldermen and he tried to say that, a homeless person basically tried to attack him when he hit the dude, and it's all caught on camera, and he lied about it to police. I mean, he should have been punished, but he wasn't. So immediately I thought, well, this is just an alderwoman making up this story. Is that what you thought, Fred? What's your impression of that?
I think I agree with you.
You think it's a story that she's just making it up?
Yeah, and I think the police did a good job.
So, but what? Finding out the answer, right? But do you think that she did or did not think or feel that she heard gunfire?
I really think that she thought she heard gunfire.
Okay, I
really do.
And here's why. Listen to the video here.
No.
Right. Well, and then why would you lie about this one, right? But again, it's a member of the Board of Aldermen. They lie all the time. The Post is doing a story. It seems to indicate, as you read it, oh, wait a second, she's trying to pull one over on us. But listen to the way that the video sounds here. This is when the mirror hits the other mirror. Yeah, I mean, that sounds like gunfire, right?
It does.
So it even if I had not, that's where the audio component, the video component is interesting, because had I not heard that, I sent that to Jane. Jane's always a good person to root out some of the issues that are taking place in the city of St. Louis. Of course, she'll be here tomorrow on the roundtable. But I said, I thought this was going to be a Brandon Bosley situation, but it's not. So is your mind changed a little bit there, Fred?
Yeah, that's a good sound. I mean, that sounds like a gunshot.
It does. You can see if you're just driving those. I'm telling you, some of these truck mirrors, and then you face another one that's got that. That's why I think some people can pull their mirrors in. So anyway, that's just an interesting story. It really shouldn't be news, but the reason I think it's more newsworthy is because of the Brandon Bosley situation.
And I think in today's atmosphere, who would not think there might be gunshots.
Well, exactly.
Well, that's-
especially in
yeah,
her ward or whatever it is.
And she kind of admits that, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, I just thought that was kind of interesting.
I could
because
see
we
me
had the,
doing that. I feel bad for her. I'd be like,
probably
"What?"
scared the crap out of her.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I'm empathetic to the alderwoman. I don't know her, but I do think that she had genuinely thought that she heard gunfire there. By the way, on the roundtable front tomorrow, I mentioned Jane will be here. Former Chief of Staff to Mayor Slay, Jeff Rainford, and the former Mayor of Ferguson, James Knowles, will be here on the panel. We'll have Paul Hall on entertainment. Frank Cusimano will be here. We'll talk a little football as we head into the weekend. And I mentioned this yesterday. I'm looking forward to this. Fred, you know Leland Vittert probably, right?
Yeah, I remember him from his time here.
He was an intern
With Charlie Brennan at KMOX.
Right. So, and then I know that he is his nickname Lucky, because I always remember Charlie called him Lucky Vittert, right?
Right.
And he had, I don't even know all his biography with media, but he went to Fox eventually, right?
Right.
And now he's on News Nation.
Correct.
It's one of the anchors on News Nation. I also did not know that Leland is on the autism spectrum, right? So he has a book that's coming out, and we're going to talk to him tomorrow about that book. So he's a St. Louis native, and that's
cool.
the connection. So we'll get into that tomorrow. Also, I'm very excited, even though I'm not the biggest music festival person. I'd rather see a band in a small club these days, but Evolution Festival has some acts that I'm definitely interested in, including Sam Fender on Saturday night. Sam Fender is amazing. He should be a household name here in the US. He's not, but that's a great get. And I think people in St. Louis who don't know his name, and you might think about going to this music festival, I think you'll be blown away. There's a band that's playing pretty much right before Sam Fender on Saturday night called His Lordship. And it features a guy by the name of James Walburn. And James is the lead guitarist and has been for a while in the Pretenders with Chrissy Hynde. And he's been in a bunch of different bands, played with Sunvolt here. Jay Ferrari's from St. Louis. So he also did some work locally with Sunvolt. We'll have a great music conversation in the 5 o'clock hour tomorrow here on 97.1 FM Talk. So let me get into a little bit, because I want to preview Jennings, who's coming up at 3:30. But now you have more information about what really happened in Dallas, and we have the blame game from the Democrats that keeps happening, and you just kind of wonder, why would something like this happen when the rhetoric is so toned down by the left?
As somebody who understands history, when I see ICE, I see slave patrols.
Donald Trump's modern-day Gestapo is scooping folks up off the streets.
Folks getting snatched off the street by secret police who are wearing masks.
Every single ICE agent who's engaged in this aggressive overreach and are trying to hide their identities from the American people will be unsuccessful in doing that.
I'll be signing a bill, the first in the nation, saying enough. To ICE, unmask. What are you afraid of?
I don't know if your mic was on, if people heard you react, but you reacted to Jasmine Crockett saying slave patrols, right?
What
And it's just utterly ridiculous. This is Eric Johnson, the mayor of Dallas, who, by the way, used to be a Democrat.
I think it's unfortunate, and I think it's inappropriate, and it's inaccurate. The reality is we have a problem in this country right now with political violence, and I think if we're honest about that, we can look back 5 years ago, and we can see when Democrats started the process of vilifying law enforcement during the Defund the Police movement to appease Black Lives Matter activists. They started talking about local law enforcement being as big a threat to our safety as actual violent criminals.
It's outrageous, and that has happened. So we'll get more into that. We got Jennings coming up at the bottom of the hour. We'll get Sue's News in the 4 o'clock hour. I mentioned Duane Patterson from Hot Air. We have Bill DeWitt III, the Cardinals president, coming up.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Already some volume out there on westbound 6440, and it's just approaching Hampton. It goes on out through McCausland, nothing too terrible. And we do have some volume on westbound 70. It's just moderate volume at Jennings Station Road. And then again in the O'Fallon area in pockets out through the 70 split. 64 slowing a little at 270. And then from, we'll call it Highway N on out through the 70 split. And just the beginnings of some volume. Southbound 55 as you head down toward Bates in the construction zone. Southbound 270, moderate volume at 21. We look great if you're headed into Illinois, the bridges downtown. This report brought to you by Lakeside Renovation and Design. For over 25 years, They have been St. Louis's trusted choice for transforming homes inside and out. From windows and siding to kitchens, baths, and outdoor spaces, they deliver quality craftsmanship backed by lifetime warranties. Visit lakesiderd.com to start your dream project today. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Feel like your paycheck barely keeps up with your life? At the seminar, learn how real people are building passive income and retiring early using real estate. It's all happening live in St. Louis with Lifestyles Unlimited, September 27th and 28th. You'll leave with a step-by-step plan to change your future. Text radio to 88007. That's September 27th and 28th. Text radio to 88007. That's RADIO to 88007 now.
The Mark Reardon Show, 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Scott Jennings is a national treasure, ladies and gentlemen. Coming up after the bottom of the hour. He got attacked. I don't know if you saw this, Sue. I think I talked about it yesterday. Keith Olbermann said, "You're next, MFer," to Jennings. That made yeah. It's craziness out there. But he will react, Scott Jennings, the number one Cardinals fan on national television. That's what I'll call him. And a nice tie-in here. You know, we love this audio. Fred brought this to us last weekend. Bill DeWitt III was at the Vatican and met Pope Leo.
Yeah, it was fun because I noted that he was a White Sox fan, and then he instantly said, yeah, but my father was a Cardinals fan. So there was a definite moment there where he connected with what we were doing. The Pope and I share something in common. We both help manage Cardinals.
Aha, that was our audio cut of the day one day last week. And Bill DeWitt III, the Cardinals president, is with us this afternoon on 97.1 FM Talk. Bill, how are you? It's been a little while since we've chatted. Hope all is well.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. Good to be with you.
So tell us the story of how this came together, because, you know, we really love the audio. It seemed like a very special, warm moment. So give us the backstory here.
Yeah, so my wife, Ira, has she started with this company called St. Candles, and it started taking off, and she then added to it with an app called St. Catholic Lifestyle, and she's just sort of gotten back into her faith and really wanted to share it with people in a couple of different ways. And as part of the app, she has an arrangement with Rome Reports. Rome Reports, obviously in Rome, they cover the Vatican, and they kind of provide news about the Pope and other things related to the Vatican to a bunch of different media outlets. And so she has the exclusive for an app in the U.S. And as a result of those contacts, we were able to get a visit with the Pope after one of his weekly visits, or I should say appearances in St. Peter's Square. And so I was just, tagging along from her taking the lead. Of course, I brought a Cardinal jersey.
You had to, of course. So was the line that you were in, like as a greeting line, was it relatively short? Was it exclusively you guys, or how did that work?
No, well, so, I mean, there were probably 80,000 people in St. Peter's Square.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
But there's like a level, a stairwell up to a level that he had this podium. And there was probably 100 people on either side of that in sort of the, quote, meet and greet group. And we were part of that. So the meet and greets lasted a little while, but, I mean, it probably took about an hour to get everybody through. But so we were sort of in the middle of that. And so we wanted to be quick, but we also, he was nice to pause and talk for a minute. And it was a real thrill.
So the Cardinals jersey that you gave him had his name on the back, right?
Yeah, it said Leo XIV as the name, and then I just picked 25 as the number because it's 2025, the year he became Pope.
I love that. So, when he was announced as Pope, you might remember this, there was a little bit of, fear in Cardinals Nation because it appeared at first, and there was even a picture that went out there that he was a Cubs fan. We quickly learned out, thankfully, he was a White Sox fan, right? But so was his mom a Cubs fan and then dad was a Cardinals fan? Do you know the background on that?
Well, I think he grew up, or at least spent some of his youth in the south side of Chicago. So I think it was just natural that they were White Sox fans. Yeah. But his dad was a Cardinal fan from whatever his story was growing up. But I don't think he, by living in the south side, being the Cardinals fan didn't win out. And, I think the White Sox thing did, which I understand. But but it was very cool to see him animate around that topic. And then my wife gave him a candle, which was nice. And then I said, we'd love to host you for a mass at Busch Stadium at some point. And he smiled about that too, because I mean, he's going to have to come to the U.S. at some point, right?
Of course.
I mean, yeah. And so I think he wants to really be the Pope for everybody. And so he'll probably, from what I'm hearing, travel to a few other countries, but then, at some point, make it to the U.S.
Well, that had to be awesome. And then, so you really did kind of joke around about both you and Pope Leo managing Cardinals. I like that, Bill.
Yeah. I mean,
you had
that
to.
was a natural line of
yes.
keeping it light. But it was just surreal to be speaking to the Pope, who we always just sort of had, examples of like an Italian or, other European countries perhaps, but it always just seemed like a, sort of a world away from the standpoint of who the Pope was. But to just connect with somebody who's from the U.S. and just instantly recognized something as simple as, the Cardinals or Busch Stadium. He said, and I spent a year in St. Louis in my seminary.
Right. We knew that.
Which he did too. Yeah. So it was just amazing to connect with somebody like that. And the stories, you hear of like his brother, just a normal guy, and some of his friends and people that he worked with and in the U.S., probably a similar feeling of, this is just one of us who's done, just humble service for so long that they, gave him the credibility to, get tapped as Pope. It's just amazing.
Yeah, that's a really cool story. And I'm really glad that you came on and shared it with us this afternoon.
Hey, Bill, this is Fred Bottomer. How weird did it seem to actually hear a Pope speaking fluent English as his natural language?
I mean, very, very weird, but very cool. I mean, when he does his address, there's like 5 or 6 people, with a copy of the address behind him. And then when he's done in Italian, they all come up and speak in the 6 different languages. So a small address becomes a long address because, they're translating in all the different languages. But and that's what we're used to, right? Just waiting till the English version comes along. But and now, and he's so bilingual. I don't know how many languages he speaks, but he just naturally flows from one to the other.
I think it was 6 from what I remember when the story.
It's incredible. And from the Italians we met, they're like, yeah, he speaks good Italian. So, that's pretty amazing. And I think, but just to have a conversation in his native tongue of English is pretty surreal.
The Cardinals president, Bill DeWitt III, is here. How do I segue into this conversation? Did you ask him to bless the team in the offseason for perhaps some results? Because obviously I'd be remiss in my duties here to not ask you about the state of the franchise. There's fan frustration. We know about the attendance numbers. So how would you, as the president of the team, address that right now, Bill?
Well, yeah, we're going to actually talk a lot about that next week when the season ends. Monday and Tuesday, we'll have a series of press events, bidding adieu to Mo, obviously, who's finishing up, and then really digging in with Chaim and being able to convey his messaging to where he wants to take this. So you'll hear a lot about that next week, but I'm optimistic. Obviously, it's been a disappointment. And, it's starting to drag a bit because it's been a few years. And, I think I just, from my standpoint, want to convey how frustrated we are and that we want to get this right. And we're doing everything we can in our control to turn this thing around. So we're committed and, that's all you can do. Obviously, we have a little feel for that level of frustration. We see it, we hear it, and then the fans through attendance also demonstrate it. So, but we're also very appreciative of the fans who are hanging in there with us. And I know a lot of your listeners are with us through thick and thin. And
absolutely.
That's something we really appreciate.
Hi, Bill. Ethan Hannaford here. Just wanted to quickly ask you, this is a huge changing of the guard, moving on from John Mozeliak in this president of baseball operations position to Chaim Bloom. Can you first speak on what Mo has meant to the Cardinals organization as a whole, being here for as long as he has, being a part of so much of this winning culture you guys have been able to build, but also what you are excited about, what Chaim Bloom is going to be able to do in this new position?
Sure. Mo's been with us really ever since we've been involved. He was part of Walt Jocketty's group and grew up in the organization. I think it's fair to say, kind of took a chance on him when Walt departed, and Mo really flourished. I mean, he had incredible energy. He really put everything he had into the job. That's something that we really appreciated. It's not easy, right? It's a lot of sacrifice with family and schedule and everything. And he sustained a winning culture and winning results for many, many years. So we certainly look back very fondly and are appreciative of everything Mo's done for us. And then with Chaim, he has a great baseball resume. He was with Tampa for many years and then had the top job in Boston, where he helped develop a really good farm system, which is now bearing fruit for them after just, the few years he was with them. And he's excited and energized. And he's also knows our organization very well now because he's been with us 2 years. So, we're lucky to have been able to kind of sort of orchestrate a smooth transition. And I think Chaim will be better for it because not only did he get to know everybody, but he also started making an impact, particularly early this year when he started hiring and developing our player development system staffing, which is now really made in his image. So I really, we're excited about it. You'll hear from him obviously shortly. And I think Cardinals fans have reason to be really excited about the future.
Bill, thank you so much. We love the Pope story. I'm so glad you shared a little bit more details with us this afternoon, and we look forward to some of the announcements in the postseason after next week. So thank you so much. Great to hook up with you.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Take care. Scott Jennings on deck.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
We've got some volume out there on westbound 6440, but it's the usual. So that means Hampton on out through McCausland, a little slow between Lindbergh and 270, some pockets through Chesterfield Valley, and then Highway N out through the 70 split. 70, moderate volume Jennings Station Road past 141, and then slow pockets between there and Wentzville. It's still moderate volume on southbound 270 from Page down through Doherty Ferry, 55 southbound slowing south of Arsenal through Bates in the construction zone. And there's some moderate volume westbound on the Poplar Street Bridge. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Brought to you by your local Lennox Premier dealer, Scott Lee Heating.
Scott Lee Heating's Premier Dealer distinction means you'll be working with the best the industry offers. Learn more about our special savings opportunities on Lennox products by calling 314-756-9444 or visit us online at scottleeheating.com.
Well, it's bad enough if your power goes out when you're home, right? And then you realize that everything's going to melt in the freezer and you have access usually to no Wi-Fi and things like that. But what if you're out of town? It's even worse, right? You could be on vacation somewhere, away on business. If you have a Generac home standby generator, you don't have to worry about any of that stuff. And you can get one here in St. Louis. Generator Supercenter is amazing. You can get a free estimate on a Generac home standby generator from Generator Supercenter, the nation's #1 Generac generator dealer. One of the reasons you want to go with an official dealer like this is because of the maintenance, the warranty work that comes along with it. You do have a situation where a lot of the competitors they cheap out a little bit. So they use copper wire at Generator Supercenter. A lot of the competitors use aluminum to save money, sometimes scrap wire. That is not a good thing. Then they're called in for repairs or maintenance for generators that were dangerously installed or sometimes even illegally installed. So they don't sell portables. These are highly efficient, really, really great quality generators that you want at your home to use natural gas and propane from your home to kick right in when the power goes out. So it's a free estimate waiting for you at a phone call away, 314-499-2020. The website, Generator Supercenter of St. Louis.com. They have payment plans available. Get a free estimate. There's nothing to lose here. Generator Supercenter of St. Louis.com.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Why should you hire America's largest injury law firm for your case? There's lots of reasons. Just like there's a reason millions of people called us last year in their time of need. When it comes to fighting for justice and compensation, millions of people across the country trust us to go to battle for them. We became the largest injury law firm in the world for a reason. There's only one Morgan & Morgan, forthepeople.com. Injured? Dial pound law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Mark Cox here. Join me, Mark Reardon, and Annie Fry, along with Thomas Helbig of the Retirement Advisory Group for the last Protecting Your Retirement educational event of the year. It's Thursday, October 2nd at the Frontenac Hilton at 6:30. Here's Thomas with more.
Are you nearing retirement or already retired and wondering if your 401k and IRA will last through your lifetime? Do you have your own personalized structured income plan set up? The markets are hitting all-time highs. Would you like to learn how to automatically lock in your gains without having to sell? Did you also know if you're 59 and a half or older, you can roll over your company retirement plan tax-free to protect your nest egg? You'll get all the answers and more. If you're 59 and a half or older, you can't afford to miss the last event of the year.
Protect your retirement nest egg. Join the official financial advisor of my show, Thomas Helbig, at the Frontenac Hilton, Thursday, October 2nd at 6:30. Go online to retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
Are you nearing retirement and don't know if you have enough money saved to retire? That is scary. Do you have a written retirement financial plan in place? Well, when it comes to retirement planning, the trusted team at Financial and Tax Architects are the best. They've helped people all over St. Louis retire with confidence. And that's what you want. You want to retire with confidence. Now, they offer a one-night, 2.5-hour adult education class called Retirement Planning 101. They hold these at colleges over the St. Louis area and in Illinois. No cost, no obligation, just learning. And at this class, you learn how to avoid costly mistakes, how to maximize your income, how to reduce taxes in retirement. So call them today, 314-888-5101, or visit fta-ria.com and take the first step toward a smarter retirement. 314-888-5101.
Join Mark Patrick seminars and lose the weight or stop smoking guaranteed. That's right, weight loss seminar at the Marriott St. Louis West in St. Louis at 11 a.m. Registration 10:30 a.m. Stop smoking seminar 2 p.m. Registration 1:30 p.m.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
This portion of the show is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air.
Cutting through the spin. 97.1 FM Talk. St. Louis Conservative.
Well, look, he's back with us this afternoon. He's a television star. He's a radio star. He's also now Keith Olbermann's best friend. Is that true, Scott Jennings? My goodness.
I mean,
wow.
I mean, that guy has completely lost his mind. It's amazing. As a teenager, this guy gave me the sports news, and now he's trying to kill me. It's really a surreal situation with that lunatic.
You know, the thing is, I'm a little older than you. He once used to be very entertaining, and a lot of us did like him when we were following sports. He's been unhinged for years, but for people who did not, catch this yesterday, he basically said there were some exchanges that were made on the Jimmy Kimmel stuff, and he said, "You're next, MFer." Right. And then there was something else that was said. Now he goes out there and he apologizes. But there's screen captures and all this stuff. I think you tweeted it and CC'd Kash Patel, right?
I did. But I have to say, I saw his apology, and honestly, it looked like it had been written by someone other than Keith Olbermann, maybe somebody with a law degree. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, I think you're right about that, because there was definitely a threat. But look, in the aftermath of all this with Charlie Jennings, I don't know. I've missed the last couple of nights on your panel, but here, let me just play this. I know you've heard it. Fox has been playing it. CNN's been playing. Maybe, I don't even know if they play stuff like this, the Gestapo stuff.
Donald Trump's modern-day Gestapo is scooping folks up off the streets. They're in unmarked vans, wearing masks, being shipped off to foreign torture dungeons.
Secret police who are masked, who are intimidating, who are scaring people. These Gestapo-like tactics.
It does look like a Gestapo operation. It does look like the Gestapo.
So Nazi, authoritarian, Gestapo, and then they're surprised when something like that happens yesterday morning in Dallas.
Well, not only are they surprised, it's worse. They then blame Donald Trump, or they blame people on the right for these kinds of attacks on ICE agents. I heard Hillary Clinton on television yesterday saying, well, it's too bad the right has done this. It's not the right. It's the left, and it's elected people on the left. Democratic officials in Washington have normalized this kind of language. And guess what? People are taking it to heart. They're writing the messages on the bullets. And then you have media outlets and other supposed analysts saying, well, we may never know the motive. No, I think we know it, Mark. I think we know the motives. They're pretty clearly communicating to us that we are radicalized, we are on the left, and we are tired of talking, and we're ready to start shooting. And that's what's happening.
Have you had a defense on the CNN panel of the rhetoric, that specific because they always want to flip it right to Trump. Well, Trump says bad things too, right? So it's
yes,
yeah.
The defense is it's not bad. I saw Jasmine Crockett. We put her on the air right before Charlie Kirk's funeral on Sunday, and they played her own comments to her. Dana Bash did, and she said, "Is this kind of language, problematic?" She said, "No. It's not problematic because it's true." I mean, she doubled down on it. And so not only are they no shame in this, they think it's great. And they take no responsibility for this. And the media promotes it, and they continue to do it. And I guess that's what their radical base wants to hear, but it's really irresponsible.
Well, and that's where the media narrative aspect of this plays a very important role. Look, you even have polling from this week that show that a lot of these people out there, the Democrats feel, and thanks to Jimmy Kimmel and others who have fueled this, that it was a kid to the right of MAGA that shot, Charlie 2 weeks ago. It's unbelievable that I still see people who are columnists at these publications posting stuff like that, things on Twitter. And what Jimmy Kimmel said last week played into that whole narrative. He didn't correct that. He went on there. The one thing that I was certain of, and it was an easy call, is that he was going to cry a couple of nights ago. But he obviously doesn't apologize for anything, and he's going to keep going at, he's a mean-spirited guy, Jennings. And, I used to think he was kind of funny. But if you follow his monologues and some of the stuff he says about Trump and Republicans, it's mean, it's dialed-up rhetoric that's dangerous like we're talking about.
It's mean, and it's often just completely utter garbage. It's nonsense. It's false. They make things up. But the reason they do it is because they live inside such a bubble. They know that if they say, well, this shooter was actually MAGA, the people that listen to that live in the same bubble, and they'll just take it as the news, as the gospel, as the truth, and then they never come down from it. This is the great tactic of the left. They have a real ability to program their people almost instantly with a narrative, and then the narrative for them never changes. They never come down from it. Russia stole the election. That is an article of faith among Democrats. This Gestapo language that you played, it is an article of faith among Democrats that federal law enforcement are kidnapping American citizens, which is not happening, by the way, not happening at all. But they have a real ability to program their people inside their bubble. The narrative takes hold, and you can never get them to climb down from it. And then there's enormous pressure on all Democratic officials to join in, because you don't want to be the one guy saying, well, wait a minute, that was false. Or, well, hang on, maybe that wasn't quite true. You go to a Democratic event and say that, they'll boo you off the stage. So then you have to participate in the narrative, and it goes on and on.
Well, at least they have their chosen leader out there on her book tour, Kamala, talking like it is, Scott, being honest, like she had been during the campaign. This is very entertaining, isn't it?
Reardon, the fact that the standard bearer of the Democratic Party is openly admitting to violating the civil rights of Pete Buttigieg and discriminating against him for being gay, a gay American, is shocking. It is shocking to me, because all I heard was that Donald Trump was going to be hostile to gay people and gay rights. Now we have a gay Treasury Secretary, but you can't even get on the Democratic ticket in this country if you're gay. If Kamala Harris is around running things, because she'll discriminate against you. It is a shocking revelation.
She's doing friendly outlets, there's no doubt, but she still looks lost out there and confused about the things that she wrote in her own damn book.
Yeah, well, Lost and Confused, that should have been the name of the book, because that really explains most of her campaign and most of what she does publicly. The problem with Harris has always been this: in an unscripted format, like an interview, she is a complete walking disaster. Whether it's a friendly, whether it's unfriendly, it's a total disaster. And you look inside this book, some of the things that she has said, it is crazy to me that she put this stuff down on paper. And so I don't know what she's planning for the future, but if Democrats want to do this again, be my guest. I'm fully for it. I think we ought to rerun Kamala Harris in 28, and we'll have J.D. Vance and other Republicans as far as the eye can see.
So I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but that speech that Trump gave, I wish people were focusing more on the content of it, because it was quite something when you hear the messaging in there. I don't know what you think about the escalator and the teleprompter. I do know this, that it would have been shocking and horrifying to see Joe Biden up there if that damn thing went out a year ago when he's given a speech like that. But any shenanigans you think going on at the UN, Scott?
Look, this is pure speculation on my part. I've seen no evidence and I know nothing official. I don't know that I've ever seen or heard of an escalator just stopping like that.
Right.
With somebody. I mean, it would be amazing if that were a coincidence and not some kind of shenanigans. Teleprompter, not sure. I know the White House Communications Office does deal with the teleprompters when the president speaks somewhere. But I have to say, given that there was reporting in at least one paper that employees at the UN were saying, oh, wouldn't it be funny if the escalator stopped when he got here? And then they stopped. It's a pretty good thing that needs to be investigated, in my opinion.
You know what my favorite part of that was, and I don't know if anyone else has really highlighted, man, Melania, it didn't stop her. She's like, okay, that's fine. That damn thing stopped. I'm going to charge right up the stairs. She didn't even hesitate.
I know.
I love that.
But by the way, think about when you are on an escalator or a moving sidewalk at an airport. If it is stopped, think about how your brain,
it's disorienting.
Your body.
Yeah.
Someone could have been injured. And that's fine. If the United Nations wants to play ball that way, that's fine. You heard what Trump said to the UN in his speech. He's got no love for you either. But he told them the truth. That organization is basically useless right now. And the countries who are inside of it are basically useless. And they're ruining their own cultures right now. And Trump told them the truth, in my opinion.
Scott Jennings back with us. His radio show is going to air tonight on 97.1 FM Talk. We'll get a preview of that in a minute. But I had to ask you, I think I saw you tweet about this. You're doing a series, and I don't know if this is sort of in podcast form. You tell me, Investing in America, where you're featuring some of the best and brightest American business leaders.
That's right. It's called Investing in America. And we're not going to do it every day, but every so often, I'll bring on a CEO whose company I think is investing in America, be it some new technology, a big expansion, but really, saying we're betting on America. We're long on America. And the first one was with a nuclear laser technology company that's got really interesting things going on. The next one is going to be the CEO of Philip Morris International, Stacey Kennedy. That'll be coming up in the next couple of weeks. And we've got a few others in the hopper. But really, I think businesses that are long on America ought to be applauded for it.
Yeah.
And we ought to hear about it. And that's the kind of people you want to highlight, because they believe in our future, and that means they believe in American workers, and that's who I'm going to talk to.
Your radio show airs at 8 p.m. weeknights on 97.1 FM Talk. What are we going to hear tonight?
Tonight, talk to Congressman Mike Lawler of New York. He's in one of the most targeted congressional districts in the country. We talked about the government shutdown, Democrats driving us toward a government shutdown. We talked about the president's changing opinion on the Ukraine-Russia war. We talked a little bit about the attack on ICE agents going on around the country. So Lawler, in my opinion, is one of the most talented and interesting congressmen, and I was glad to have him, and you'll hear that tonight at 8 o'clock.
So you're getting dangerously close here, dude, to this book coming out. It's going to be here before you know it, isn't it?
Yep, November the 18th. The book is at the printer, and I have recorded the audio version, and the book tour is being planned, and yes, we're on the brink of hitting the road to sell the book.
We have not locked something down here in St. Louis. We still have to do that. I'm working with Scott has people now, so I'm working with his people, and we'll hopefully be able to announce something soon. Listen, thanks for joining us. Have a great week. We'll see you.
Thanks, Mark.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
On the roads, we just had a report of a stall southbound 55 past Arsenal. Now, that's been in the right lane, and it's caused a delay through there. Now, the other jam I'm seeing happens to be on westbound Highway 30, and it's really close to the river. So if you're headed out that way and you find a serious delay, I'll call it just past West Watson. But man, has that created a parking lot jam. It's back through 270, eastbound drivers slowing for a look as well. Now, southbound 270, it's mainly moderate volume south of 40, just a little slow on either side of Manchester. But north of there, it's been really slow headed for Ladue Road, like back almost to Page. Now, other than that, it's the usual. So westbound 70, a little slow at Jennings Station Road past the airport and pockets out through Wentzville. But there was an accident eastbound 70 past Hanley. And 40 is a slow go in pockets. Kings Highway all the way out through 70. If you're headed into Illinois, There's a little bit of volume eastbound 64 at 18th Street. I'm Sue Thomas. That's traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Climate Masters. We specialize in older homes. Climate Masters Heating and Cooling. Trusted heating and cooling installation and maintenance service. Keeping the St. Louis Metro comfortable since 1978. Call us today at 314-968-8383. Climate Masters.
97.1 FM Talk welcomes Trans-Siberian Orchestra and their monumental tour, The Ghost of Christmas Eve, at the Enterprise Center on December 23rd. A portion of the proceeds benefits Siteman Kids at St. Louis Children's Hospital. Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com.
Attention St. Louis Medicaid members. If you need assistance with daily living, you can receive a free service from Freedom Care in your own home from a loved one who lives with you. With Freedom Care, you decide who provides your daily care, helping you with preparing meals, bathing, laundry, transportation, and more. A family member or friend that gets paid weekly. This Medicaid program is available to eligible St. Louis residents. New to Medicaid? The Freedom Care family will guide you through enrollment, making it stress-free for patients and caregivers. With over 7,000 five-star Google reviews, we've perfected at-home care for Medicaid members and caregivers. If you live in the St. Louis area, this service is available through Medicaid. And with our InstaPay app, caregivers can choose to get paid weekly. So go to freedomcare.com now, or for faster service, call 314-697-4912, 314-697-4912. That's 314-697-4912.
Freedom Care, we're here for you.
When you ride, you feel the freedom of the open road. But when the road turns dangerous and an accident happens, the pain and confusion can be overwhelming. If you're injured in a motorcycle accident, you need someone who understands. At Kaufman Townsley, we're your St. Louis neighbors. We live here, work here, and we know how important your recovery is. We'll fight for you so you can focus on healing. Kaufman Townsley, real people, real results. Call 314-500-5000.
We've been here 30 years. 30 Christmases in this house, and we have the traditions that most families have.
That's Terry talking about her experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We did Rhino Shield 14 years ago, and the house still looks the same as the first day. Rhino Shield really worked with me to help me get just the right, nice, soft yellow, and it's 14 years later, and it's the same color.
The main reason Terry called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by its 25-year transferable warranty.
It just sounded wonderful that we could have the house coated with Rhino Shield and not have to worry about it again for 25 years.
Take it from Terry. Give Rhino Shield a call now for a free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
There have been neighbors that have come by and said, "Did you just have your house painted?" Because they wanted to know who the contractor was. And I said, "No, it's actually Rhino Shield."
877-25rhino.com.
Hey, Stewie, I need some cash. I need money. Who doesn't need money? What can you do for me?
You know, Annie, this is a question people ask all the time. Now, pay attention because this is important. Don't get a home equity line of credit. A home equity line of credit is a credit card on your house. It's typically not a fixed rate, so it's an adjustable. You pay interest only. And there's a short-term opportunity to take the money out, and then later on, it turns into a loan that's a really high interest rate. Cash out refinance. That's the most important thing. Refinance your entire mortgage. Get the best rate that's out there. Give yourself the opportunity to refinance later when the rates drop. A cash out refinance is a little bit higher of a rate than a rate and term refinance. Do the cash out now. Set yourself up for the future and get the best deal out there. Just do me one favor. Don't tell my wife about this because she's going to want all the cash in the world to buy a new car.
Well, if you want to know more, Google the bagel loan to find out more information or call my friend Stewie, 314-324-4440. That's 314-324-4440. Google the bagel loan for more information. NMLS number 226715.
Scott, can you believe it's already been more than a decade since the Queen of Carpets sold flooring to St. Louis area contractors?
I know, but I don't have to be a king to offer contractors today's lowest prices.
Yes, contractors owe it to their customers and themselves to shop at Best Buy Flooring for the largest in-stock selection of carpet, carpet tile, sheet vinyl, laminate, hardwood, luxury vinyl plank, and luxury vinyl tile.
Plus 3 convenient locations, North County, South County, and Metro East.
Open 7 days a week.
Best flooring, best selection, Best Buy. Best Buy Flooring.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. If you're a renter, make sure you're protected. Renter's insurance includes options that cover stolen property, personal injury, and living expenses if your place is damaged. Quote Renter's Insurance at Progressive.com.
This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Well, Sue, I don't think you're as into professional golf as your brother is, certainly, or I am. But
yeah, but I like to follow it.
This weekend's a little different, because it's the Ryder Cup.
Ryder Cup.
Yeah, so it's match play. The format is very different, and it's the USA versus Europe. Although, as I said earlier, most of the Europeans live in this country. They're basically Americans.
Yeah.
Well, they just moments ago announced the pairings for tomorrow morning in the morning session. So that kicks off the Ryder Cup at Bethpage Black, and Dan Reardon's going to give us some of the lowdown and his handicapping of this at 5:30. But here we go. Match 1. At 6:10 tomorrow morning in the Midwest, 7:10 Eastern time, Bryson DeChambeau and Justin Thomas for the USA, John Rahm and Tyrrell Hatton for the Europeans. So the way this works in the morning is it's a foursome match. So each player will use one golf ball and they take alternating shots to compete the hole. So one person tees off and then it is fun. So then they have the 4-ball session, which is and some of this is, even a little, as a professional golf fan, sometimes a little cloudy to me, but the 4-ball is basically just they both play on each pairing plays, and then whoever gets the better score, that's how you do it. And then Sunday you have singles match play, and then the first team, this is where it gets a little confusing, the first team to get to 14.5 is the winner of the Ryder Cup. This is interesting too. If it's a tie, if it's 14-14, the winner of the last Ryder Cup wins. That's the tiebreaker. And that was the Europeans. They were in Rome for the last one.
Well, that's annoying.
One of the things that's interesting about the Ryder Cup, like when the Americans have to go over there and play, they've never played these courses, right?
Exactly.
These guys have played Bethpage, right? So there's a little bit of a difference here. But anyway, it's all right. So it's DeChambeau, Justin Thomas, Rahm and Hatton. Then the next pairing is Scotty Scheffler and Russell Henley, and Ludwig Aberg and Matthew Fitzpatrick for the Europeans. Match 3 at 6:42. I'm going to give it to you in Central Time here. Colin Morikawa and Harris English versus Rory and Tommy Fleetwood. That is an intriguing pairing and an intriguing foursome to me. Match 4, 6:58 Eastern Time. Xander Schauffele and Patrick Cantlay versus Robert McIntyre and Victor Hovland from Europe. So these are amongst the best in the world. There are team captains. There are people that go crazy cheering on the teams. Golfers, it is because these golfers, they show more emotion than they usually do.
That's one of my favorite things.
Yeah, me too. Because usually, some of these guys can be pretty, and I know there's focus and the mental game is very important, but this is where they really kind of get to let loose.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the Europeans have done us in a few times here recently. So the Americans need an opportunity to strike back. We cannot let, especially on the cusp of our 250th birthday, we can't let the Europeans win the Ryder Cup.
Let's hope there's no ties then.
Yeah, no kidding.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
We've got volume out there, but it's all in the usual places on the interstates. Southbound 55 headed for Bates. Southbound 270, Olive through Doherty Ferry, and then in pockets at 21. But what is jammed is Highway 30. There was an accident reported near West Watson, and it's caused a huge jam in both directions. Now, southbound traffic on 170 is a little slow, headed for 64. 6440, Kings Highway in pockets all the way on out through 70. And there's some heavy pockets between Highway N and the 70 split. 70 itself looks a little better, but there's volume at Jennings Station Road past the airport in pockets out through the 70 split. If you are headed into Illinois, looks great. We look fine on the bridges downtown. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
I always recommend MasterCars Inc. in Granite City from a couple of different perspectives. So they're an outstanding used car dealership with new car caliber. And if you're looking for, and let me give you an example of a really unique vehicle that they have on the lot right now. If you like, more classic or collector cars, a 2003 Ford Mustang Mach 1 Premium, which is the color is called Torch Red Clear Coat. Dark charcoal leather interior, and this only has 14,000 miles on it. So it is a beautiful car. It's very affordable. And if that's something that kind of floats your boat in the car department, you might want to check that out. They have man, George Gray loves classic cars. We always talk cars with George sometimes because he likes to cross the country in his classic vehicles. They have a 67 Plymouth Belvedere, 2-door hardtop coupe on the lot right now. But they also have regular stuff like Jeep Wranglers and Harleys and Ford F-150s, etc. Whatever you're looking for, if it's not on the lot, they can find it for you. Mastercars Inc. at mastercarsinc.com.
Guys, it's time to take charge of your health with my friends at Victory Men's Health. Mark Cox here. I already love what they do at Victory. They do hormone optimization, sexual health, weight loss, even vitamin deficiencies. Now they're offering specialty cardiovascular testing and even early detection cancer screening. Visit them at one of their 4 great locations, now in Sunset Hills, Town and Country, O'Fallon, Missouri, and O'Fallon, Illinois. Tell them Mark Cox sent you. Go to victorymenshealth.com.
As veterans, we're no strangers to helping others.
That's what we were taught, service before self.
But we do have one question for the veterans listening.
When was the last time you reached out for help?
If you or someone you know needs resources, whether it's for stress, finances, employment, or mental health, don't wait. Reach out.
Find more information at va.gov/reach. That's va.gov/reach.
Brought to you by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs and the Ad Council.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have Leaf Filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/radio to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/radio for your free gutter inspection today. See representative for warranty details. Promotion is 20% off plus a 10% senior or military discount. 1 discount per household.
If you've listened to 97.1 FM Talk, you've heard of Doug Voss of Voss Financial and Safe Money Radio, as he has been a staple as the financial expert on the station for many years. You can hear him on Safe Money Radio every Saturday at 2, right here on 97.1 FM Talk, and you can talk to Doug Voss directly. Here's his number. Call Doug at 844-676-SAFE. That is 844-676-7233. Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-500-5000.
That's 314-500-5000.
All on the free Odyssey app.
A big step towards saving TikTok. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News.
And I think I can say that especially the young people, they really wanted this to happen. They did not want to have TikTok closed.
President Trump just signing an executive order on a deal for U.S. investors to take most ownership of the social media giant, also controlling the algorithm instead of the current Chinese owner. Vice President J.D. Vance calls it a big day.
This deal really does mean that Americans can use TikTok, but actually use it with more confidence than they had in the past, because their data is going to be secure and it's not going to be used as a propaganda weapon against our fellow citizens. We're very excited about it.
Congress requiring TikTok to divest or face a U.S. ban. Today's order creates a window to finalize the deal. President Trump says China's president approves. The president also just telling reporters there could be a government shutdown next week, earlier accusing Democrats of making unreasonable demands.
People that entered our country illegally, they want to give them massive federal money. And we don't want to do that because it means everyone's going to just keep pouring back. Right now, we have absolutely perfect borders.
House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries says federal law prohibits using health care funds for undocumented immigrants and that no one's asking to repeal that. He also says this to the White House budget chief.
As a negotiating tactic, our response to Russ' vote is simple. Get lost.
This after a memo suggesting agencies prepare for possible mass layoffs instead of just furloughs if there is a shutdown. Investigators say the man who opened fire on a Dallas immigration facility yesterday, killing a detainee, was targeting ICE agents. Notes found in his home.
They say that this was planned out over a period of months, with him searching for an app that tracked ICE agents and downloading a document with DHS facilities on it.
Fox's Nate Foy in Dallas. America is listening to Fox News.
Seems like there's more identity theft in the news every day.
Another major healthcare breach was reported today, resulting in the exposure of
1 in 4 consumers have been a victim of identity.
That's because there are endless places that could accidentally expose you to identity theft, in a breach, or simply by mistake. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it, guaranteed or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS at lifelock.com. Terms apply.
Stop settling for weak sound. It's time to level up your game and bring the boom. Hit the town with the ultra-durable LG X Boom portable speaker and enjoy vibrant sound wherever you go. Elevate your listening experience to new heights because, let's be real, your music deserves it. The future of sound is now with LG X Boom. And for a limited time, save 25% at LG.com with code FALL25. Bring the boom. X Boom.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
We are getting rid of the unsettled weather pattern and bringing in a nice dome of high pressure. Excellent weather on the way. Clear skies in place. 70s this evening, 58 for the low. On Friday, plenty of sunshine in the 70s to near 80 degrees. Clear skies Friday night, 59. Evolution Festival weather in St. Louis looks fantastic. Sunny, 84 on Saturday, sunny, and 84 on Sunday. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
Well, I was looking for a piece of audio here, and I just had it, and then, of course, I can't find it, which, as you guys know, kind of happens on a regular basis. I found it. Here it is. So this is, I just think, we talked about this a little bit with Scott Jennings in the last hour. We'll explore it with Duane Patterson in the next hour. But, you know, this book tour that Kamala has right now, it's quite, I don't know what to really say about it, because isn't the goal of the book tour to kind of inspire people to buy books?
Well, yes.
Have you heard anything so far that would do that for anyone? Even Stephen A. Smith, listen to him.
You Kamala Harris, what the hell you think this book tour is doing? Your political career is over. It's over. But when we talk about you in this book, we're talking about you calling out Josh Shapiro and Pete Buttigieg and the Obamas and Tim Walz and Joe Biden. Everybody but you. Where's the accountability?
Yeah, that's actually a really good question. There is no accountability. We played the one audio bite from her yesterday where she was just kind of lost. Like, she's like, I don't really know. When she's asked why she lost, I don't really figure that out yet. Well, maybe because you sucked as a candidate. But the way that they're trying to spin it, Fred, you've heard this too. It's like, well, look, she was given, 107 days to do wonders here, and she performed remarkably well, given the nature of the difficult position that Joe Biden and the Democrats put her in. So that was certainly a success story. But then she couldn't figure out on election night why she lost. She says she didn't talk to her husband about it, which, some people have scoffed at that, but I don't know. I think I kind of believe it. Here's the only reason I believe it. Like when I found out when Becky was pregnant, when I was about to turn 50, and Alexa was the surprise, we legit did not talk about it for 2 weeks. We both knew it was, this is true story. Right. We both kind of knew.
Yeah.
And she didn't even take a test. And we're like, and for people who don't know the story, what happened is that my wife was bit by, it's kind of a lesson to young women all across the world. My wife was bitten by her neighbor's dog. It wasn't that big of a deal. She went to urgent care, and they put her on antibiotics just as a safety precaution. The antibiotics zapped the birth control. So 6 weeks after, the dog bite, I said, hey, are you pregnant? And she said, well, I certainly hope not, because she had some stomach issues. And then we just locked down. Locked down. And then she finally went to Chicago. She was at Lollapalooza. She was doing a lot of work with AB at the time, and she's hanging with clients of, beer clients, and she has beers that she's just literally pouring out behind her because she didn't want to make it seem like she wasn't,
right,
just joining in with what everyone was doing. So anyway, that's where I kind of believe, what do you, even it's your spouse, but she just got her ass kicked. I'm not so sure that that's not one of the true things that she's telling in that book.
Yeah.
All right, with all the searing topics that we have, and we covered them all, and we'll do it again here tomorrow on the Reardon Roundtable. We got a panel of Jane Duker. We have Jeff Rainford on the panel, also former Mayor Ferguson, James Knowles. So we dig into these hard-hitting topics like the ICE event from yesterday in Dallas and Jimmy Kimmel and all this stuff, and also pronunciation of words, right? We can maybe handle this one tomorrow on the Roundtable. You tell me, this was a discussion that took place earlier today on which show was it on Fox?
Outnumbered.
Okay. Is it the one that says Raw, or is there a different one? Okay. Why is that one? And let's see if I can find this, because we were just talking about the Reese's cookies with Oreos, right? Which are amazing. And if you haven't had them yet, I would highly recommend getting them. But then the question is, how do you pronounce the word that I just said, right? Is it Reese's or Reese's?
Oh.
How come I can't find that, guys? Where the only one that I have in here, it says Reese's
Fred's
Raw.
coming.
Is that it? That has to be it.
No.
Okay, well,
No, he said no.
where is the other one that starts with an R that might be up there and say the same thing?
The great mystery.
Because I don't see it.
Ethernet.
Why don't I just hit the Raw one and let's see what happens? Let's just see what happens. Let's hope we don't lose our FCC license here.
What are they called? Reese's peanut butter cup. They're so good. I just think this is dumb. And we had the debate during the commercial. Is it Reese's or Reese's?
Reese's.
No.
Rosanna, you say Reese's. I've never heard that in my life.
Wait, Kaylee McEnany is saying that she never heard that in her life. Well, that's what I say. Listen to this.
I'm from Brooklyn. We say a lot of things you probably haven't heard in your life.
But you guys, I'm totally in the minority, but I think it's Reese's because that's a possessive apostrophe.
That's the
like
minority.
Reese Witherspoon.
Yes.
Like Reese's home, Reese's Pieces, like
Reese's Pieces, exactly.
P-S-E apostrophe S. Paul, back me up.
I think, I have to agree.
Paul Morrow here.
This is a very first world problem. That said, during the UN General Assembly here, just like Donald Trump, I have to stand up for traditional Western values. Reese's.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
No, but there's Reese's.
Back me up, Twitter.
But there's Reese's Pieces, and then there's Reese's Cup. E.T. loved the Reese's Pieces, and it's cute when kids say, "Could I have a Reese?"
Yeah,
No,
I know. But I think it is
but they're
maybe
kids.
Reese's? I don't know.
Thank you.
Reese's Pieces?
Yes, Reese's Pieces.
Reese's Pieces does not work.
Who said? Wait, did they actually say that
Yes.
in ET? But wait, did they say it in ET that way? They didn't say Reese's Pieces.
I grew up saying Reese's Pieces like
You
that.
did.
But it was a kid. I was a
Right.
kid.
Right.
And at some point, there was a flip of the switch where it was like, it's actually Reese's.
Right.
And ever
Yes.
since then, I've called it Reese's.
Right. No.
Like an adult person.
Yes.
Right. I like Kaylee, but what planet was she living on with calling it
Thank you.
Reese's? I was
She
amazed
must
by
have never
that.
grown up.
And she doubled down.
One baseball controversy that I didn't cover yesterday. I thought I'd get into this. So Matt Shaw, who plays for the Cubs, missed a game over the weekend because of Charlie Kirk in the memorial. So the former Cardinal here involved here with Todd Zeile, but the Mets were playing the Cubs and they kind of questioned the decision.
Shaw had Cubs World in a tizzy this weekend when he was not here for the Cubs game with the Reds. Game they lost 1-0, and in which his lack of presence was felt. It was later revealed that he had been given permission to attend Charlie Kirk's funeral. And I don't want to talk about any of the politics of it, but the thought of leaving your team in the middle of a race for any reason other than a family emergency really strikes me as weird.
So who was that doing play-by-play?
That was Gary
there?
Gary Cohen.
Gary Cohen?
Gary Cohen. Yeah.
Okay.
Gary Carter's a former Met, right? He may be involved, but Todd Zeile gets involved here, who's the former Cardinal.
My experience as a player, and I think it made it a little bit more unusual that it was not revealed until after it came to issue, because he was thought to be in the dugout and maybe available and then was not, and that's how it was revealed. So it became maybe more of a story than it could have been had it been addressed.
So I don't know how big of a story this was in Chicago, but the Mets seemed to think it was a big Chicago story. And then here's Matt Shaw addressing, the missed game.
My connection with Charlie was through our faith. That's something that drives me every day. That's the reason why I'm able to do what I do every day. And that's something I'm extremely thankful for. Whatever backlash comes is okay. I feel strong about my faith and that what was meant to be happened.
I think I heard that he wasn't going to play Sunday anyway. Do you know that, Ethan?
I do not.
Okay. So I How was that a big deal? I understand. Look, I don't think it was completely inappropriate for the broadcast team to bring it up because it is a little unusual if you're in a playoff, hunt or in contention for the postseason to lead. But obviously that was something that he was close to, and it felt important to him. So, the team let him go.
So I actually heard the comments made by the broadcasters. I think Awful Announcing posted it.
Yeah, of course. That's a site on Twitter and Instagram.
Yes, great page.
It is.
And I heard their comments first before I heard the details of it. And at first I'm like, yeah, I think I agree. If this is just some random guy, he doesn't know Charlie Kirk, I think that I would agree.
He had a relationship.
But
though.
apparently they were close friends.
Right.
And I also heard that he had been invited by Erica to go.
Right.
So
that's a little different.
That tells me.
Yeah.
So at that point, now it feels like the broadcasters didn't do their due diligence in seeking out the context of the situation,
Right.
and people that are just now hearing about this or hearing about that via their coverage now don't have all the information. If that's how this went down, it feels irresponsible to me.
You've just summed up the entire legacy media complex in like 15 seconds because that's what they do. Now, it's a little different with play-by-play because you're going in there and they're just offering some opinions. I didn't think what they said was awful, but to your point, there was a reasonable explanation for it. Now, they could have also gone back on at some point and clarified that, and maybe they did. And
I also heard that
about
he asked every player individually and coach if they were okay with this, and everyone was like, go do it.
Well, that's significant too. That's a part of the story.
Now, this is just stuff that I don't have this in official writing that this happened, but these are all things that I have seen.
Some of the reporting out there. All right. Hey, we got Sue's News on a Thursday coming up.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
On the roads this afternoon, now westbound 70, a little slow at Jennings Station Road. There was an accident eastbound in that area, so it's a little slow through there. Then in pockets out through Wentzville, 64 is jammed, and that's Kings Highway out past McCausland. Then you've got eastbound slowing at 141, and westbound slow pockets west of 94 out through 70. Southbound 170, really pretty slow, headed for 6440 tonight. And southbound 270, kind of the same way. Moderate volume, then heavy pockets, and this is from Page down through Doherty Ferry, but slowing again at Gravois. And westbound Highway 30 is just jammed from 270 to the Merrimack River due to an accident there. Eastbound is jammed as well. 55 is pretty slow south of Arsenal through Bates. But if you're headed into Illinois, we look fine on the bridges downtown. This report is brought to you by Lakeside Renovation and Design. For over 25 years, they've been St. Louis's trusted choice for transforming homes inside and out. They do windows, siding, kitchens, baths, outdoor spaces, and they give you quality craftsmanship backed by lifetime warranties. Visit lakesiderd.com to start your dream project. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
1 week from tonight, ladies and gentlemen, it is our final Protecting Your Retirement educational event of the year at the Frontenac Hilton at 6:30 p.m. So it's 1 week. You have to register to be there. They're free events, though. We just need to RSVP and make sure we know that we can save a seat for you. We had Thomason yesterday talking about some of the stuff. Look, the markets are hitting all-time highs right now. Would you like to learn how to automatically lock in your gains without having to sell? That's one of the strategies that they will teach you at the event next Thursday. All you have to do is go online to retirementkey.com. You'll see on the front page of the website a little button that says register. You fill out some information. We'll see you on Thursday night. Now, you can also, on that same tab, go one-on-one into the office, meet with Thomas and the team. A lot of questions you might have. Do you have your own personalized structured income plan set up? Did you know if you're 59 and a half or older, you can roll over your company retirement plan tax-free to protect your nest egg from future losses? So just a few things that you'll hear next week, and it's not a big time commitment either. RetirementKey.com for Thomas Helbig and the Retirement Advisory Group. We'll see you next Thursday.
We, without hesitation, recommend that anybody work with ThrottleNet. The experience will be as good as it's been for us, for anybody, because you'll get a true partnership and you'll be able to rest easy that you're going to get the service that you need while they're also doing all those things that you don't want to have to think about, that you don't want to have to worry about. They're always doing that in the background for you.
Don't wait for your next IT crisis. If your business depends on technology, you need a partner that's got your back. Contact ThrallNet.com to get a free IT evaluation and see how we can support your IT everything.
When you enter a place of business, you're owed a legal duty. That the place of business is safe for you to shop in. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. If you suffered an injury at a place of business, our duty is to protect you after that harm. Morgan & Morgan, for the people.com.
Have you been notified that your subsidy for Obamacare health insurance is going away? Well, you can leave now while you are still healthy and can qualify for much better individual plans. Greg Hammonds at greghammonds.com has been helping people get affordable health insurance with great coverage for over 35 years. Greg offers private health insurance plans that are not on the ACA marketplace. You can pick your doctors. For most claims, you won't even pay a deductible, and they're 30 to 60% lower cost than Obamacare. One more thing, there's no tax penalty at the end of the year. Greg even has plans that are guaranteed acceptance. If you pay for your own health insurance, you're uninsured, you're on COBRA, or your employer coverage is just too expensive, call Greg at 314-794-7784. That's 314-794-7784. Or go to greghammonds.com. That's greghammonds.com. He can custom design a plan by you, not the government.
Big news! Golden Oak is now your one-stop shop with Golden Oak Premier Realty and Golden Oak Lending. Buy, sell, or refinance and save thousands.
Golden Oak Lending, join my blue.
NMLS 114937.
We know there's a lot that can go on during one night of baseball. Long home runs, epic pitching performances, catches that defy space, time, and gravity.
Climbing the wall, did he catch it? He did!
But what if you could get all of that summarized in a quick, concise, and at least we think, funny podcast that's under 10 minutes? Check out MLB.com's morning lineup. It runs Monday through Friday mornings on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you love listening most.
This is St. Louis Conservative. No filters, no fluff. Mark Reardon is back on the mic.
Evolution Festival this weekend at Forest Park. The weather looks fantastic. This is Father John Misty, one of the acts that will be there on Sunday. Tomorrow night in the 5 o'clock hour, Jeff Jarrett from the festival will be here, and he's going to bring in James Walburn, who is the guitar player with a band called His Lordship, playing Saturday evening at the festival. And James is cool. He's the guitarist for Chrissy Hynde and the Pretenders. So that's coming up tomorrow in the 5 o'clock hour.
These allegations are deeply concerning.
Does the president have any comment?
We're not going to comment.
It's not clear messaging.
No.
And now, Sue's News. Brought to you by Sue.
Well, on this day in history, we're going to go back a ways, but I don't know. I don't think I realized they had solved this. 137 years ago today, in 1888, Jack the Ripper mailed his first letter to London's Central News Agency, and he promised to cut the ear off the next woman he took out. And sure enough, they found an earless body 5 days later. I mean, Jack the Ripper, ugh. But here's what I didn't know. An author figured out the real identity of him in 2014 using a DNA test. Did you know that?
No.
I wonder if that's true.
Really?
Yeah, and they say it was a 23-year-old Polish immigrant who did it. So we'll have to look that up and double check.
The exact, like you're saying the DNA identified the exact person or someone who is a Polish immigrant?
Well, that's a good question.
That's
Sue's News did not pursue.
Okay, all right. Well, I'd like to go down the rabbit hole there.
Yeah, it's very interesting. And then on this day in history, 99 years ago, in 1926, Henry Ford established the 8-hour, 5-day work week. It was from Henry Ford and the Ford plant, and think about it's stuck around for 99 years. It's just impressive.
That is kind of amazing.
Right?
Yeah.
And then 38 years ago today, I'm not the only one who loves this movie, am I? In 1987, The Princess Bride was released.
Fantastic movie.
It's the best movie ever.
It is one of the best. And I told you, I watched it with Alexa about 2 years ago, and she loved it. She really did. It holds up quite well.
Awesome. Andre the Giant, the whole nine things. It's really one of the best. If you want to pull that one out, it's something to watch.
Billy Crystal. Yeah.
Billy Crystal. A Happy Daughter's Day. Did you realize that? Did you know that, Mark? What are you doing for a Happy Daughter's Day?
Do something very special tonight. I'm going to watch the Thursday night football game. That's how we're going to celebrate.
She's so lucky. It's also National Quesadilla Day, which sounds really good to me.
Well, that's mainly the main food in Alexa's diet is actually
Really?
a quesadilla. Oh,
Okay,
yeah. There's
that's
nothing
funny.
that she has eaten or currently eats more than a quesadilla.
What does she put in there? Cheese and what?
Basically cheese.
Just
Sometimes a little
cheese?
chicken, too. Guacamole she likes on the outside.
guacamole,
Yeah.
yeah. National Lobster Day. Michael
Ooh.
finds this overrated. I find it delicious. Fred, it's seafood.
I find it avoidable.
Even with delicious butter, you dip like a lobster
Fred.
tail in there. Man, that's good stuff.
No, if you tried that?
Well, I try since there's butter involved.
Yeah.
I would probably
Okay,
try it.
all right.
Yeah, that's fair.
Do you not like even shrimp? You don't like shrimp?
No, not really.
Really? Okay.
Even deep fried Fred.
Oh, my.
But I get that. And it's National One Hit Wonder Day. And that's why we have so much music. All right. I'm going to talk about some of 10 of the most memorable songs. Okay. Think about this. There She Goes by the Loves. There she
It's a great
goes.
song.
Tainted Love by Soft Cell. That was a one-hit wonder in 1982.
They had a couple more, but yeah.
Yeah, but the big ones.
Yeah, that was big.
Dexy's Midnight Runners,
Come
of
On,
course.
Eileen.
Come On,
Yeah.
Eileen. Wild Cherry. Can you name that one?
No.
Play that funky
Wild-
music.
Oh, play the funky
Yeah,
music, okay.
1976. And this one from 1997.
I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked down.
I love a little Chumbawamba. Before my bumper music was removed from my control, that's why I played Father John Misty there, because I get to do it every once in a while. I added this one to the bumper rotation. This is a great song,
It
though,
is
right?
kind of.
But
it's
you're
what-
right. There was nothing. I couldn't
Nothing.
even imagine
No.
another song from these guys.
No.
He drinks a vodka drink. He drinks a lager drink.
Very clever song, though, so I like that one quite a bit. All right, you got another one
By
here
the
for
way,
me?
the name for that is Tub Thumping.
Right.
That's the actual title, which I don't know that I ever knew.
I know. That's what's funny.
you
It is
know,
a funny name.
It's just bizarre. Fred, what you got?
I've got that the phrase one-hit wonder was first used in 1956 regarding baseball. It's the context for a pitcher who allowed only one hit.
Get
Only
out.
later did they move it to music.
Oh, that's
who's
interesting.
first started was used to describe pitchers.
Oh,
that
I see
just
the
missed
phrase.
a no-hitter.
That's awesome.
I'm going to be honest with you, just
That makes
because
sense.
what I thought I heard him say is the fray, because that's a
Oh,
band. So
yeah.
you threw me off.
phrase.
Okay.
Oh, I gotcha. Okay, number 5. Well, this is not any particular order. Barely Breathing, Duncan Sheik, She's So High. But somebody I used to know, Gautier, I feel like we heard that all the time in 2011. But here's another one, 1979.
Now, I would make the case that the Knack had a few more songs in this, but this was certainly, I guess, I don't know that I'd put this in the one-hit wonder
I'm
category,
not sure
but a lot
I
of
would
people
either,
would.
but I'd like to hear it.
'Cause I think that this song kind of put the album on a lot of people's
Agreed.
radar, and then the album was really good as well. But, you know, it stands out from that era, certainly. All right, you got one more here?
Okay, and this one is a true one-hit wonder.
Well, I don't know why I came here tonight. I got the feeling that something ain't right. I'm just
I'm drawing a blank on who this
Oh,
is,
you're
too. Stuck in the middle.
Steelers
Oh,
Wheel.
Steelers Wheel, that's right.
and I'm
I was brain cramping on that.
down the stairs.
You know, I was having a conversation one time with Nils Lofgren, the great guitar player for the E Street Band, and I happened to bring up one-hit wonders.
Oh,
and
yeah.
he very seriously, and I never thought about this way, he goes, "What are you talking about one-hit wonders?" He goes, having a number one hit is hard as hell. So
See, there
you
you go.
get one-hit wonder. That's like, that should not be an insult
Well,
to a
that's
band, because
true.
you know how many bands don't have one hit, like, period?
Right?
So I thought that was an interesting perspective from Nils.
That's a really healthy perspective. Although the fact that Chumbawamba is on there at all. By the way, Steelers Wheel was 1972. My Sharona by the Neck, 1979.
And I remember that because I would have nailed that time exactly, because that is amongst, I always refer to these like first 15 or 20 LPs that I bought on my own, right? And that was one of them, because
that's
I
a
know
good
I
one.
had it before I moved here to St. Louis, and I moved late 1979.
Yeah, that's really a good one. All right, there is a new super group coming out called Howl, Owl, Howl. Have you heard this?
Have not.
Featuring Mike Mills from REM, Black Crowes drummer Steve Gorman, and Darius Rucker.
Wow. Well, we need to ask our friend Tim Summer about that.
Exactly.
Tim discovered he signed. He was the A&R guy that signed Hootie and the Blowfish.
Hootie and the
Wrote a
Blowfish.
book about them. He knows Darius very well.
They describe their sound as roots rock with an alternative flair. And their first single is called My Cologne. And they're not going to drop it until Halloween.
Okay.
And then they're going to do a tour that kicks off on November 3rd in Indianapolis. And I hadn't heard anything about it.
It'd been better if they'd have called it My Kelowna.
I actually thought that's
Right,
what she
yeah.
was going to say.
My Kelowna. Yeah. So I just read that this morning and had no idea that even existed. And now
Wait, it's the dude. It's Darius, the dude from REM, and who else?
Black Crowes
Oh, the
drummer
drummer.
Steve
That's
Gorman.
right.
Yeah. We have a turlet story for Fred.
Oh, good.
Fred, if you walk into a public bathroom in China, there's a chance you'll have to watch an ad to get toilet paper. This is
Wow.
their new idea. There's a video going viral.
Oh,
that
we're going to do
shows
this
how
here.
it
Believe me,
works.
we'll do it here.
They say you can scan a QR code that plays an ad on your phone, and then the machine will spit out a modest amount, like 6 squares. If you need more, you have to watch another ad.
Well, now I don't know about women's rooms.
Yes,
but
that's
in
good.
men's rooms, there are now ads above urinals. Are
Oh,
there
really?
Ads?
Oh,
they have been
no.
for a long time.
Yeah, are there ads in women's?
Not
restrooms?
really. I mean, you may see. I guess I have been places where there are some.
But like we have video monitors
Yeah.
above the
Oh,
urinals.
no,
Oh yeah,
no,
it's
we
like
don't have
at the
that.
gas station where you see
Yeah,
some
you're
of the.
kidding
As if
me.
concentration isn't hard
Yeah.
enough.
Wait a minute, really?
Fred, you could absolutely go into a women's restroom in 2025. You
Oh.
understand that, right? You
Okay.
can do that,
Okay.
and vice versa.
And finally, in Sue's News, we have today's random fact. And I have found, the tallest men in the world are in the Netherlands. They have an average height of just over 6 feet. Shortest Indonesia, average height 5'2", and the American average is 5'9.5". But the tallest guys in the Netherlands, my niece is dating one, and he's super tall. I had no idea that was a thing.
And I'm 5'9.5", believe it or not. I
there you
really am.
go.
Listed in the program at 5'10". There you go. Father John Misty, Sunday Evolution Festival. Check him out.
I'm Chad Robinson with Your Money Now. Oracle, Silver Lake, and Abu Dhabi's MGX will be the main investors in TikTok's U.S. business, according to CNBC. Those three companies will control roughly 45% of TikTok USA. ByteDance, TikTok's Chinese parent, will own 19.9%, with the remaining 35% in the hands of ByteDance investors. President Donald Trump signed an executive order today backing the proposed deal that will keep the social media app running in the U.S. Amazon will reportedly pay $2.5 billion to settle Federal Trade Commission allegations that it tricked users into paying for Prime memberships. The lawsuit claims Amazon deceived tens of millions of customers into signing up for its Prime subscription and sabotaged their attempts to cancel it. Stocks were lower on Wall Street, with the major averages losing anywhere to 0.3 to 0.5%. Crude oil futures for November are above $65 a barrel. That's Your Money Now.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting truly great candidates for your roles? It seems impossible to find them, but they have to be out there somewhere, right? Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go, and that place is ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter, you're missing out. So see what it's like when the impossible is easy. When you go to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
Will Wing It is not a retirement plan. I was having this discussion the other day with somebody who's like, can you believe how fast retirement is coming up? And we were discussing the fact that going into it blind is just super scary. To me, what you have to do is at least understand how things work. And I think financial and tax architects' approach makes sense. And that is, let's educate people. And they put on a class called Retirement Planning 101. It's 2.5 hours. It's adult education. And they hold these at colleges throughout the St. Louis area and in Illinois. And they teach you a few things. Here's how to maximize your income. Here's how to reduce taxes in retirement. Here's how to avoid costly mistakes. So give them a call and go to a class. 314-888-5101, 314-888-5101. Sit in, learn, see what they're about, and see if you don't want to work with them.
Why do the national tax resolution firms need the tiny fine print at the bottom of all their TV ads? Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. You don't hear fast-talking disclaimers in our ads because the claims we make are 100% transparent. The Lance Story Law Firm primarily focuses on one thing, IRS problems, and we're regulated by the Bar Association, and we have a AAA rating with the Better Business Bureau. IRS issues are serious legal issues. The Lance Story Law Firm has helped thousands of clients navigate the best resolution plans, and we tell you up front exactly how much it'll cost. Tax resolution law is all we do. So before you send money to some out-of-town, high-pressure salesperson, give us a call at the Land Story Law Firm, located right here in St. Louis. Call today to schedule your free consultation with me, 314-260-6120, or visit lance.drurylaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
4:33. This portion of the show is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air.
Midwest Made. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Yeah, I got Duane Patterson coming up after the top of the hour to talk about politics. He contributes at hotair.com. Also, the Duane's World podcast works with Hugh Hewitt every day. And, you know, the narrative, I guess, I don't even know why there would be an argument back and forth in the legacy media about who has more inflamed rhetoric. It's really not even close. I understand. And, you know, if you take me back to 2016, there, and some of you know this, I wasn't thrilled about the rhetoric by the president, but there was something that happened in that first term with Brett Kavanaugh and Covington Catholic and all these other things that led me to firmly believe in the camp that I'm in right now, which is the media is the enemy of the people. So I've been sampling a lot of CNN this week on my way home and at other times of the day, just because I want to hear what they're saying. And they cannot stop talking about Jimmy Kimmel. That's all they want to talk about. Free speech, Jimmy Kimmel, Trump is bad, all this stuff. And when it comes to what happened yesterday, in particular, at the ICE facility in Dallas, I mean, it's not even close. The way they call him, the Gestapo, etc. But you got Hakeem Jeffries out there, the Democrat leader, trying to say, no, it's the Republicans, it's Trump, etc. No, it's you guys, actually.
Donald Trump's modern-day Gestapo is scooping folks up off the streets. They're in unmarked vans, wearing masks, being shipped off to foreign torture dungeons.
Secret police who are masked, who are intimidating, who are scaring people. These Gestapo-like tactics.
It does look like a Gestapo operation. It does look like the Gestapo.
So we learned a lot about this shooter, and I don't like to mention their names, so I will not do that. But the U.S. attorney down in Dallas today unveiled a lot of information about what, you know, kind of went on here with this particular shooting at the ICE facility, because there were notes found, things along those lines.
These loose notes included a game plan of the attack and target areas at the facility. He called the ICE employees people showing up to collect a dirty paycheck. He wrote that he intended to maximize lethality against ICE personnel and to maximize property damage at the facility. He hoped to minimize any collateral damage or injury to the detainees and any other innocent people. It seems that he did not intend to kill the detainees or harm them. It's clear from these notes that he was targeting ICE agents and ICE personnel.
Well, you would never know that if you hear some politicians, as I mentioned on Capitol Hill. Here's Hakeem Jeffries. If the Democrats had control of the House right now, he would be the Speaker of the House.
Level of political violence and ideologically motivated violence across the spectrum is far too high in the United States of America right now. We need leadership that brings people together not national leadership that tears people apart.
Well, I think that's you, Hakeem Jeffries. You could bring people together if you admit that a lot of the rhetoric that is spurring on some of this nonsense is coming from your side. Back to the U.S. attorney in Texas, because this dude meant to cause more terror than luckily he did.
He hoped his actions would terrorize ICE employees and interfere with their work, which he called human trafficking. And this, what he did, is the very definition of terrorism.
So they went into some details here. I mean, one of the things, he certainly was no fan of the government.
His words were definitively anti-ICE. That said, we did not find evidence of membership in any specific group or entity, nor did he mention any specific government agency other than ICE. Among his papers, though, was a handwritten note in which, in crude words, he expressed his hatred for the federal government.
One of the things that we're learning today that we did not have access to yesterday in this news conference kind of spelled it out, that these ICE members, first of all, they were the targets, right? Unfortunately, it was fortunately for the ICE agents, they were, not those killed, but it was the migrants that were killed. But listen to some of the details about the heroism.
While under fire, ICE agents and ATF agents, who were also present in the facility's Sallyport area, worked together to remove detainees from the vans and get them to safety while the bullets were flying. These agents were heroic, clearly willing to lay down their lives to save the lives of the detainees in their custody.
Yeah, so this is the ICE director in Dallas, and you need to hear a little bit more about how all this went down with the rescue.
Violent rhetoric has led to over 1,000% increase in assaults on ICE officers, and it has to stop. In contrast to those who would demonize our men and women, yesterday our brave officers ran back into danger, along with ATF, our partners, to save the detainees while shots were still being fired. Those ICE officers just showed the world who they really are. Law enforcement officers who want the best for our country. That's ICE. Integrity, courage, excellence.
Now, he had to point out that he and others, including Tom Homan, have been warning about moments like this.
The shooter used the ICE tracking apps. Anyone who creates or distributes these apps that is designed to spot, track, and locate ICE officers are well aware of the dangers that they are exposing to law enforcement. It's a casting call to invite bad actors to attack law enforcement officers. It's no different than giving a hitman the location of their intended target, and this is exactly what we saw happen in Dallas yesterday. The media has been amplifying these apps even as we warned them it would only lead to more attacks on law enforcement. We truly wish we didn't have to say, "I told you so," but here we are.
So I was not dialed into the apps, and
I
I
didn't
don't
know.
really want to promote the apps, but listen to what they do, because there's a variety of them out there, and IceBlock is one that allows users to anonymously report sightings of ICE agents with reports expiring after 4 hours. It aims to function like a community-based safety network, informing others in the area that the safety is that if you are a felon and you're in this country illegally and you've diddled little girls or something like that, or you've beat up people, they think that you, the ICE agents, and those of us who think that we need to take back our country from migrants who are, not all of them, but who are criminals, that somehow puts us in the negative territory, the Gestapo territory. ICE immigration alerts, that's another one. You can get this on Google Play. It serves as a platform for users to report the presence of ICE agents. ICE T-Tools is another one. Focuses on user location awareness, includes a dispatcher system to help verify anonymous reports of ICE agent sightings, and helps people prepare for their presence. There's another one called ICE Report, which provides information on ICE conditions for fishing that allows users to log reports of ice thickness on lakes. So that kind of makes sense, right? But on these other ones, I really didn't know that those existed. I guess people can turn these things around very quickly. You would think, I'd like to know what the rules are of the App Store. If you have, something that There has to be something that is similar that just tracks cops too, wouldn't you?
I would
say, hey, there's
know.
cops in the air. I don't know.
You could listen to scanners probably and do that. but-
Right. Well, look, let me say something about this Gestapo stuff that I was thinking about, because Sue, as you know, I was in Greece in the spring, and this really stood out. I told this story when I got back, and it really made an impression because we had an extra day in Athens because of the winds that had kicked up and we couldn't get on our cruise ship. So a lot of us went out and we did a couple of tours. We're at this really beautiful park in Athens. And I don't remember the name of it, but what happened was we we had a great tour guide that day in Athens. And we get to this very busy intersection, and across the street, it's just like a wall, a yellow painted concrete wall, just kind of light beige, if you will. I don't know. And there was a bunch of indentations on the wall, like a bunch of indentations on the wall. It looked like, someone had taken a bunch of rocks or something and then, tried to make them explode on the wall. Well, what it was what the Nazis did to the people of Greece, because if you would take out a soldier, they would kill 2 civilians. So they would take the civilians and they would line them up against this wall and they would shoot them dead right there in front of everyone to set an example. And they've left the bullet markings on that wall as a reminder to how horrific some of this stuff was. I've shared this speech from my friend Steve Weinstein's father-in-law from Kansas City in 1978. And I usually share it on Holocaust Remembrance Day and, maybe D-Day's anniversary or something along those lines. And one of the horrifying stories that's told is that as there's a family that's hiding inside a home in the Warsaw Ghetto, as the Nazis are patrolling the streets and cleaning out the Jews from the ghetto, there's a baby that is in the room with these adults, and the baby starts crying, and the father snuffs out the baby because he knows that if he doesn't do that, I can't even think of a situation like that everyone in that room is dead. Everyone is dead. So that to compare moments like that with what we're experiencing right now in this country, it should not even be considered to make, comparisons like that. But they do it every day with complicity from the legacy media.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
If you are just headed out, we've got some volume, but most of it's in the usual areas. Westbound 70 at Jennings Station Road, and then in pockets out through Wentzville. 6440, slow pockets approaching Kings Highway, and then it goes all the way out through 70. Again, it's just pockets. Southbound 170 slowing at 64. Southbound 270 slow pockets, and that's mainly from Page down past 21. Now we've got westbound Highway 30 completely shut down near 141. Eastbound is open. This is all due to an accident down there. And it's just been an awful traffic mess the entire afternoon. If you can avoid westbound Highway 30 in that area, please do. And if you are headed into Illinois, there's some volume headed for the Poplar, but it's okay on the bridge itself. 44 westbound slow in front of the Arch. This report brought to you by Barron Mirror Glass and Doors, simply the finest. When it comes to mirror glass and shower doors, you can't find better quality, prices, or service. They have the basics all the way up to the elite. Barron Mirror Glass and Door can't be beat. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's Traffic 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
This is James Hawkins, president of Golden Oak. I am excited to announce the opening of Golden Oak Premier Realty. That means we're your one-stop shop for financing and buying your home. One team, one goal, your home. Not moving? Now is still the time. Your home's equity is higher than ever. And with our 4.5% mortgage rate, you could save over $1,000 every month. Use your equity to pay off high-interest credit cards, lower your monthly payment, or even skip 2 months of mortgage payments. And don't forget, if your loan doesn't close, we'll pay for your appraisal. We make the process fast and easy, often getting your cash in as little as 14 days. Whether you're buying, selling, or refinancing, call Golden Oak today and let us put our 25 years of experience to work for you. Call 314-567-GOLD.
Golden Oak Landing, showing my blues.
5.442 APR, FHA 15-year, 20% equity, qualified credit, additional terms apply. NMLS 114937.
Hey, Sue, we were talking about Fred. He does not like any seafood. You think I should take him to the MAC? They have a great event, which is coming up at the West Clubhouse next Friday night from 6 to 9 p.m. So we could head over after the show. It is an oyster special.
Oh,
and
no.
I don't even think we could pay Fred enough money to down an oyster. I love oysters, by the way. I think they're really, really good. So if you want to attend the Oyster Social next Friday, you do have to RSVP. There's a little fee for that, but they're going to be out on the pool deck, providing the weather is cooperative, and it should be on the first Friday in October. A lot of fun stuff happening. They have a brand new chef out there, executive chef at the West location. They have the new Cafe Cherry Diamond where you can get some breakfast items at the West location. If you want to come downtown for an event at the end of October, they're doing the Mezzo at the MAC and Evening at the Opera. Always unique events, the annual wine tasting and sale. And of course, we always are involved in raising a lot of money at the MAC for children's charities. And we're about to pick the 3 new charities for 2026 very, very soon. You can find out more at mac-stl.org today.
From border security to school choice, the Constitution to the culture war. Made in America. Heard in the Midwest. You're listening to 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Attention St. Louis Medicaid residents in need of care at home. If you need assistance with daily activities, you can receive in-home care from a loved one that lives with you and they get paid. Through Medicaid, Freedom Care allows you to choose who provides your care at home in St. Louis, and they get paid weekly. Available to eligible Medicaid members in St. Louis. Call now to check your eligibility. It can be your daughter, son, a close relative, or trusted friend helping you with cooking, transportation, laundry, and other activities in your own home. You get the help you need, and your caregiver gets paid. Freedom Care has over 7,000 5-star Google reviews and is a leading choice in St. Louis for in-home care. If you have Medicaid and want to receive great care from a loved one, go to freedomcare.com or for faster service, call 314-597-1749. 314-597-1749. That's 314-597-1749.
Freedom Care, we're here for you.
Are you looking to hire? ZipRecruiter finds the best candidate for your job fast. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
You're listening to The Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
My friend Duane Patterson, who contributes at hotair.com, and he has the Duane's World podcast after the top of the hour. We continue. We'll ask Duane's opinion of the Jimmy Kimmel situation and all the back and forth in the media. Jim Antle III, who's the executive director of the Washington Examiner and a contributing editor of the American Conservative, has written about Mr. Kimmel and this whole situation this week. Jim, how are you? Welcome back to 97.1 FM Talk.
Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
I like the fact that you, and I want you to explain this to the audience. I didn't think of this analogy, but I give you credit here. You said that this kind of reminds you a little bit of what happened with Colin Kaepernick in the NFL.
Yeah. So you said when Colin Kaepernick's NFL career came to an end, in his view, prematurely, it had to be collusion. And, don't have, but there was an obvious alternate explanation. He wasn't the starting quarterback in his.
Hang on a second, Jim. I think we're going to have to.
Yeah, have
that
him
does
call
not sound
back,
good.
maybe.
We'll have to have Jim. If you can hear me, we cannot hear you very well. We may have to reschedule that just because we're getting tight on time here.
Sorry about that.
Ethan, let's reschedule just because we're getting tight on time, and I don't know what was going on with that phone line, but it was not very good at all. So we'll have to go in a different direction. Unfortunately, I apologize to Jim. That happens every once in a while. We give it a little time. Soon I look at each other.
Yeah,
like,
we do that.
Like, maybe
then
not.
it's
Maybe
back
that's
on,
but
it's
like,
gone.
you know what? I can kind of sum up what he was saying here, and I think this is important because I've expressed my concern about, the government pressure angle of this and what happened with Brendan Carr and the FCC. And mainly, I just want to be clear about what my point is on this. I feel like we were really on a roll here, momentum with pointing out some of the nonsense that's been happening in the media. And you just have to laugh at the Gestapo stuff because it's so over the top and ridiculous. But then when you have a little pressure from the government to get rid of a late night comedian who should be irrelevant, that's where I get a little concerned because you're giving ammo to that side to say, see, we told you that this was, Gestapo tactics or whatever they want to say. But what Jim was trying to point out in his column is, look, this is a lot more than just, the FCC. That's why I kind of wish Brendan Carr would have stayed out of it, because you got affiliates. You still have two big companies that are not airing the show. And depending on what you do think or don't think, or if you're a fan or not of Jimmy Kimmel, there's market forces that are at work here with the show. They're expensive to run. They have huge operating budgets, big salaries for the hosts. There's a team of, I think some people don't understand, there's a team of writers. Like Colbert's got
huge.
dozens, right?
That's why it's
and
so
they get
expensive.
together. Right, exactly. So, you would think that there would not be as much overhead because they have guests and things along those lines. But there's a lot of resources put into these shows. So as with a lot of media, it's not just late night talk show hosts. Viewership is down. There's a lot more options. We all like to stream. And I do think, and I'd love for someone to do a deep dive on the politics. And this is part of what Jim Antle is going to point out. And I've said this several times, and I think we can all relate to this. There was a time, and it was not too long ago, when we would look forward to 10:30. And I even liked Jay Leno because he had a funny monologue, and he was just Jay Leno, and he'd have good guests, and he'd have good rapport with the guests. And I'd watch Letterman. I'd record all of them. I loved Jimmy Fallon when he first came on the air. I thought he was something dynamic
he was.
and different. I loved Conan. I followed Conan
awesome.
from the time that, he started on the air. I remember doing a late night feeding with my son, who's now 28, and Conan O'Brien joked when he had that really white, pasty look. He was barely, on TV for hardly at all, and he looked goofy. He always looked goofy. And he said, yeah, our audience, I remember him saying something about our audience is a bunch of people doing late night feedings. I'm like, yeah, that's me. It's like 2 a.m. and I'm watching the show on my VHS tape. But we sought refuge in late night television because we wanted to be entertained. We thought that the guests were interesting, and the musical guests were interesting, and the monologues were funny in some cases. And you were able to, and I've said this before too, Dave Klein, my former producer emeritus, I'm sure if he's listening, he remembers we would go a lot of times for audio cut of the day to something that Fallon might have said in a monologue. I probably used Jimmy Kimmel before he became such a big whiny rhymes with witch. But the audience is different now. And I guess people, I don't get why someone would want to go to a late night comedian to get their political advice. I really don't, but people do that. But on the Kaepernick front, this is where I thought he kind of struck a chord with me. Everybody thinks that, the reason that he was kept out of the NFL is because of, the incident where he kneeled during the national anthem.
No, he just wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
They like money.
For me, it was two things. I don't care. I really, and I said this at the time, I didn't care that he kneeled for, I thought it was despicable, right? I wouldn't support it. But what he did in the aftermath is he comes out and he wears a shirt at the news conference that essentially pays homage to one of the greatest human rights violators in history, Fidel Castro. So he's playing smoochy with the Castro regime and trying to make the point that Cuba has more freedoms than this country, and he demonizes the police. Remember, he wore the piggy socks as well. But what Jim Antle kind of reminds folks of is that once defenses figured him out, look, I'm a Packers fan, and I remember what he did to my Green Bay Packers, and, they sliced and diced him because the defense was not really keen into a strategy to, contain Kaepernick at that time. But in his final season, he went 1-10. 1-10.
That's your answer.
And he was under 500 overall. So yeah, was he a controversial subject? He was. But the parallel here is he became a headache too for NFL teams, and that basically, and this is something interesting because Colbert and Kimmel are heroes to the same people who lionized Kaepernick. And what he wrote in his piece is network executives are at least as boneheaded at times as their NFL counterparts, but it's not difficult to find less nefarious reasons for their professional plights. And if you dig a little deeper into the Kimmel thing, that's exactly what you're going to see. So I think his point was, and we'll see if we can get him back on, was, yeah, he might be back for a couple of nights, and that gives him, his ability to slam Trump even more. But the contract is up, and there are economic realities with the companies that still might come into play.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
We've got a report of an accident westbound 70 past Zumbel in the left lane, and it's causing a delay out there. In fact, the jam goes back past 94. Now, 64 is lined up, but it's the usual volume, Kings Highway out through McCausland, then in moderate volume pockets all the way out through the 64 split. And we've got southbound 270 still lining up. It's near Page, down in pockets past Gravois. Well, now they're saying there was an accident south of Gravois, but in fact, it is there because there's a solid parking lot jam northbound as well. And westbound Highway 30, if you can avoid that between 270 and 141, do. There was a serious accident there, and they've had to close part of it. Yeah,
that's part of my route home. It's part of my route home
That's
again.
not
Keep
good.
interfering with that.
And southbound 55 is really slow, headed down toward Bates. We look good on the bridges downtown. There's a little bit of volume headed for them. And 64 eastbound, an accident reported east of 25th Street. Yeah, so be careful. Your garage door is the largest piece of moving equipment in your house, and when it needs help, call the experts. Overhead Door. They've got same-day service, 314-781-5200, or go online, overheaddoorstlewis.com. I'm Sue Thomas. That's Traffic 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
This report is sponsored by Overhead Door Company of St. Louis.
Are you nearing retirement and don't know if you have enough money saved to retire? That is scary. Do you have a written retirement financial plan in place? Well, when it comes to retirement planning, the trusted team at Financial and Tax Architects are the best. They've helped people all over St. Louis retire with confidence. And that's what you want. You want to retire with confidence. Now, they offer a one-night, 2.5-hour adult education class called Retirement Planning 101. They hold these at colleges over the St. Louis area and in Illinois. No cost, no obligation, just learning. And at this class, you learn how to avoid costly mistakes, how to maximize your income, how to reduce taxes in retirement. So call them today, 314-888-5101, or visit fta-ria.com and take the first step toward a smarter retirement. 314-888-5101.
I hear from sellers all the time that they fear they have missed out on the selling market. They are so relieved to learn September, October, and November are strong selling months. With low inventory and hopefully lower interest rates, this fall will be a hot one for real estate. I'm Christina Straight, owner of Straight Realty. You may have heard me say, why pay more than 4 for years? Now it's why pay more than 2, saving you even more money. Call me 314-441-4444. And remember, why pay more than 2?
Straight Realty is a licensed broker in the state of Missouri, Kansas, and Nevada.
Hi, I'm Tom Connors. Went to Mark Patrick's hypnosis seminar February 6, 2019. Nothing worked before. Left there and never smoked again. Amazing. Easy, affordable, and guaranteed. A year later, with my wife, Michelle, attended Mark Patrick's weight loss seminar. She lost 18 pounds, and I lost 43 in 8 weeks.
It's true. He smoked 2 packs a day, and nothing worked until Mark Patrick Hypnosis. Now we're losing weight together, eating healthy, full on half the food, crazy, enjoying exercising. Who would have believed Mark Patrick Hypnosis really works?
It's amazing. I can breathe again. My blood pressure went down, and I've got so much energy.
So much energy.
And look great.
Stop smoking. Lose weight now without craving, irritability, or your money back. Early bird special, only $49.99 guaranteed. Join Mark Patrick's hypnosis seminar and lose the weight. Stop smoking. Feel great for only $49.99 guaranteed. Saturday, October 18th at the Marriott St. Louis West in St. Louis. Weight loss seminar, 11 a.m. Registration, 10:30 a.m. Stop smoking seminar, 2 p.m. Learn more at markpatrickseminars.com. That's right, markpatrickseminars.com.
Mark Cox here. Let me introduce you to my friends at the Lit Cigar Lounge in St. Louis, where luxury meets comfort. Premium hand-rolled cigars, an extensive selection of rare bourbons and whiskeys and craft cocktails. It's comfortable for non-smokers, too. They have a state-of-the-art ventilation system. They have private lockers and live music every Friday night, perfect for date nights or business meetings or just winding down. Visit litstl.com.
KFTK FM Florissant.
An Odyssey station.
TikTok up and running. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. President Trump taking a big step to make sure the app is still available in the U.S., signing an executive order that creates a joint venture with private investors after months of hearing from people who wanted access to the app.
Especially the young people, they really wanted this to happen. They did not want to have TikTok closed.
Vice President J.D. Vance.
This deal really does mean that Americans can use TikTok, but actually use it with more confidence than they had in the past, because their data is going to be secure and it's not going to be used as a propaganda weapon against our fellow citizens.
The order calls for TikTok's Chinese parent company ByteDance to divest most of its interests, and American investors, including Oracle's Larry Ellison and Fox's Rupert Murdoch, to take over. The president was also asked about the Israel-Hamas war, saying he will not allow Israel to annex the West Bank.
No, I will not allow it. It's not going to happen.
Unlike Gaza, the West Bank is governed by the Palestinian Authority, and the president said he spoke with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu today, and he said they're close to a peace deal between Israel and Hamas. He hated the federal government. That's what investigators are saying about the man who opened fire on an ICE facility in Dallas yesterday.
Acting U.S. Attorney Nancy Larson revealing a search of Joshua Yon's home found notes revealing he wanted to maximize ICE fatalities when opening fire on the Dallas facility.
What he did is the very definition of terrorism.
Officials say the 29-year-old who killed a detainee and injured 2 other detainees before fatally shooting himself likely acted alone, taking part in a high degree of pre-attack planning.
Fox's Kristen Goodwin. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem says there's been an uptick in targeting of ICE agents, including an attack in Alvarado, Texas, July 4th, where a police officer was wounded, and days later, a Border Patrol facility in McAllen was targeted. America's listening to Fox News.
Seems like there's more identity theft in the news every day.
Another major healthcare breach was reported today, resulting in the exposure.
1 in 4 consumers have been a victim of identity.
That's because there are endless places that could accidentally expose you to identity theft, in a breach, or simply by mistake. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it, guaranteed or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Stop settling for weak sound. It's time to level up your game and bring the boom. Hit the town with the ultra-durable LG X Boom portable speaker and enjoy vibrant sound wherever you go. Elevate your listening experience to new heights because, let's be real, your music deserves it. The future of sound is now with LG X Boom. And for a limited time, save 25% at LG.com with code FALL25. Bring the boom. X Boom.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
We are getting rid of the unsettled weather pattern and bringing in a nice dome of high pressure. Excellent weather on the way. Clear skies in place. 70s this evening, 58 for the low. On Friday, plenty of sunshine in the 70s to near 80 degrees. Clear skies Friday night, 59. Evolution Festival weather in St. Louis looks fantastic. Sunny, 84 on Saturday, sunny, and 84 on Sunday. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
We are getting dangerously close to the weekend. You heard Dave Murray talk about Evolution Festival. Perfect weather for that at Forest Park. I have James Walburn, who is with a band called His Lordship. They'll play one of the stages on Saturday night. James is also the lead guitarist, has been for a while for the Pretenders, Chrissy Hind, and he played with Sunvolt also, so has some Missouri connections with Jay Farrar, who used to live in my neighborhood, Holly Hills. He might still live there. I'm not sure. So great connection there. James will be in tomorrow in the 5 o'clock hour. Also, Leland Vittert. Leland was an intern for Charlie Brennan. Fred, would this go back decades, or I don't even know if I know the time frame on that, but I always remember when I was on KMOX, Charlie would have, he would call him Lucky Vittert, right, on the show, and he was at Fox at the time. You remember how long ago that was?
I can't remember when that was.
He's gone on to do some great things, and now he is one of the anchors and hosts at News Nation. He's written a book that's coming out, and I did not know this about Leland, and I've never met him, but he's on like the autism spectrum, so he's writing about some things related to that, right?
And how important his dad was, Mark Vittert, to helping him get through that.
All right. Well, so that's in the 5 o'clock hour tomorrow. We got, of course, the Reardon Roundtable. We'll mix it up on all things politics with Jeff Rainford, former chief of staff for Mayor Slay, and the former mayor of Ferguson when all that nonsense went down with Mike Brown. James Knowles will be here. We have all the regular stuff in the 4 o'clock hour. Paul Hall on entertainment and Cusimano talk a little baseball. Hey, by the way, and I just want to mention this because you can use the Rewind app, and I know that we're all down about the way that the Cardinals have performed this year, but we had Bill DeWitt III on, the Cardinals president, a couple hours ago, talking about his visit last week with Pope Leo at the Vatican, in which he gifted a Cardinals jersey that said, Leo on the back, and Pope Leo told Mr. DeWitt that his father was a Cardinals fan. He grew up on the south side of Chicago, was a White Sox fan, but his dad, Pope Leo's dad, was a Cardinals fan, right?
That's right. And Leland was an intern at KMOX around the year 2000.
Okay,
so about 25 years ago.
Circle back on that one, but yeah, that was a while ago. So anyway, we'll talk more about all that tomorrow during the 4 and the 5 o'clock hour after the roundtable. Duane Patterson is back with us this afternoon. He hosts the Duane's World podcast. He contributes at hotair.com. He's an outstanding political pundit. He's full of energy and excitement. How are you this afternoon?
Duane has been taking notes, by the way. Leland Bittert, who has been 19 years old for 30 years.
Yeah, he has that advantage, doesn't he?
He does have that advantage. He's a good friend of ours too, actually. So that was neat to hear. And you're mentioning, who's this lead guitarist for the Pretenders again?
James Walburn is his name. He's a younger guy.
Isn't that like Murphy Brown's secretary?
Not really, because this dude can shred it, and you should hear this band, His Lordship.
Hasn't she gone through about 35 lead guitarists?
Oh, yeah, over the years. But he's been with Chrissy for about, I think, 13, 14 years. But obviously, he was born.
That's just a record.
He was born in 1980, so he was born when the Pretenders were, kind of hitting their peak. But no, he's a cool dude. And this festival that we have this weekend, it's great. It's an outdoor festival at Forest Park, and they moved it a couple years ago. They had it in August, and the weather was just too hot and rainy. They moved it to the end of September, and they made the right move because the weather here in this part of the country is finally getting nice. You live in a part of the country where the weather's always nice, so you're spoiled.
Absolutely. That's the only reason we live here. It's because of the weather.
I don't blame you. All right, so let's kind of start on the Gestapo, Duane.
Donald Trump's modern-day Gestapo is scooping folks up off the streets. They're in unmarked vans wearing masks, being shipped off to foreign torture dungeons.
Secret police who are masked, who are intimidating, who are scaring people. These Gestapo-like tactics.
It does look like a Gestapo operation. It does look like the Gestapo.
And here's the governor of your state, California, Gavin Newsom, on Tuesday night.
ICE, unmasked. What are you afraid of? What are you afraid of?
I think they know what they're afraid of, right? A gunman that is targeting them with, shell casings that have engravings on them. And with what we're finding out now is at least a small manifesto about how much he hated ICE.
They impeached Donald Trump for giving a speech at a rally of which a small fraction got caught up in the spirit of the moment and went bonkers. But they impeached Donald Trump for a speech he gave that did not cause any incendiary violence. They called it stochastic rhetoric, stochastic terrorism, which is just an intellectually lazy term. What we have now is Democrats, one right after another. There was a montage I think our friends at Newsbusters came up with that had a minute and a half, 2 minutes of nonstop people on MSNBC, anchors and guests alike, doing nothing but referring to ICE as the Gestapo or SS.
I played it yesterday. I had Curtis Houck on the show yesterday. Yeah, and it wasn't, by the way, it wasn't too hard to find all that material. They put it together very quickly.
Oh, absolutely. And so, you have to, if we're going to use that stupid term of stochastic rhetoric, which I think is just, silly on steroids to begin with. It's a vapid term. But if that's the rule, and again, if the left is the ones that set the rule for the last couple of decades, and they tried to persecute us and prosecute us in some cases by that rule, we only have one rule. And if that rule now is, if you say something and words can lead to violence, then let's talk about words leading to violence, because that's almost exclusively what we have seen from the left as far as left-wing violence for the last, about 10, 15 years? Virtually all of it is originating from the left.
Oh, you wouldn't know that if you watched CNN, right? Or MSNBC or ABC or CBS. I mean, I had, by the way, I had Scott Jennings on earlier this afternoon. You saw what Keith Olbermann did with him?
Yes.
I mean, basically said, you're next, MFer. And, certainly sounded like a threat. He took it down and he apologized. But that guy, we've known for a while that he's crazy. But good Lord, I mean, all this rhetoric, and they wonder, and we've got a bad pattern going on right now with these bullet casings and people engraving, anti-ICE, anti-government, whatever they're engraving on these, the fascist bullet casings and stuff. Now, what do we have? 3 cases like that? So that's a bit of a trend that's taking off, and they're not exact copycat incidents, but they have to be inspired by what other, some of these other shooters are doing right now.
Going back to our favorite Bobo doll, which is MSNBC, they brought on a quote unquote legal expert, former FBI official in the Biden and Obama Justice Department, that said that the shell casings, the writing, the anti-ICE stuff, the stuff that was on the shell casings in the assassination of Charlie Kirk, he blamed that on the right wing, because he said a long, long time ago there was a white supremacist that shot up a church and used that practice, and it hadn't been used in a long time. And so what we're seeing is these current shooters, not identifying them as left-wing shooters, but these current shooters, they were influenced by these white supremacists. So it's still the Republicans' fault. It's still the conservative side's fault for these left-wing shooters that are now using these slogans and anti-ICE etchings on shell casings.
All right, well, let's kind of wind this back to Jimmy Kimmel, because obviously one of the things that got people enraged, and justifiably so, is that he completely lied when he went on that monologue on that Monday night a week ago and blamed this on, someone who was to the right of MAGA. That narrative, despite being completely blown up the following day after Jimmy Kimmel said that, I mean, I think we pretty much knew going into the weekend, but then Kimmel says that on a Monday. Tuesday's the day that we see the text message exchanges. I'm still seeing pieces written by some of our friends on the left that are still blaming someone on the right for that particular incident, which is just stunning to me. But they don't stop, and they know. You can see some of the polling out there. If you poll some of the younger people in particular, they think it was someone on the right that inspired the violence with Charlie Kirk. They buy this right now because they've been told it over and over again.
Is there some polling out there on that? Certainly, you can find polling that shows that. I'm looking at the larger, greater good here, and the larger, greater good here is you had the first post-assassination Turning Point USA young person rally at Virginia Tech in Blacksburg, Virginia last night. Obviously, Charlie Kirk could not be there because the left killed him. So instead, Megyn Kelly and the governor of Virginia, Glenn Youngkin, gave a wonderful address, and the capacity in the hall was into the rafters. I mean, they had it as packed as you can have it. They hung on the governor's every word, and at the end, he said, "Would you join me in prayer?" Everybody in the auditorium joined hands in prayer. I'm seeing a movement that is larger than what a handful of people with amplification on social media are saying about, oh, well, this is right wing, this is that, and trying to hold on to the narrative. You're going to see the noise, but what we're seeing in practice, there are many, 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 many times more people that are walking away from the lies, that are walking away from the nihilism, that are walking away from the emptiness that the left offers them.
I also think, tell me if I'm wrong about this, we have seen, certainly for obvious reasons, because they're worried about their career, people who are in the sports world or Hollywood in particular, being very fearful about voicing any support for the right. Now, we've seen some exceptions of that. Chris Pratt comes to mind, and maybe a couple others. But it seems like this is giving people, I know Jason Aldean just did a song, it's giving some people an entertainment because of the spirituality and the Christian angle of this, maybe a little bit more comfort with, because they can support Charlie in his message and what Turning Point's all about without specifically supporting Trump, which is more controversial. And it seems like people are willing to do that a lot more. So it's creating this moment where more people feel comfortable about speaking about their spirituality. And that kind of leads to the side they're on in politics, doesn't it?
Absolutely. I wrote about a week ago or a week and a half ago that if you get, I've been in conservative politics through broadcasts for 30 years, trying to get candidates at state, local levels, national level. I've been working for the Republican conservative cause for 3 decades. But this is beyond that. If you use the moment for what the moment was meant for, and you see what God is doing, and you win souls over, and people get the faith right. If they get the faith part right, the politics will take care of them of itself. I have no doubt about that at all. As far as the ability of people like Jason Aldean and others to be more bold, I think we have Charlie and Erica Kirk to thank for that. Erica Kirk, you could not be more bold than what Erica Kirk showed on Sunday during that service. And not even just the I forgive him line, which is going to go down as one of the all-timers. We will be talking about that for generations. But if you'll remember what she said before she got there, before she wound up to the forgiveness stuff, she gave a classical apologist's treatise of the role of manhood and the role of what women should be. And that echoed all over the world. And it was just unabashed, unafraid, and it was awesome.
White Christian nationalism on display. That's all I saw was white Christian nationalism, Duane.
Yeah, and you know what? Here's the fun part about this. That's going to be the charge of the left. That's going to be how media tries to frame this. In the past, people that are believers that didn't want to upset the left and didn't want to make too many waves and sat back in their pews, still gave, but didn't want to tell anybody that I'm this persuasion or I believe in this because they were afraid of what the backlash is. That's gone. People are now much more bold, and there are conversations being had around the water cooler at work. I'm having an ongoing conversation with my next door neighbor on bike rides we go on about every other night. And she's about this close to finally making a true profession of faith that she's been flirting with for 3 decades.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of that. It's very interesting, and we'll see how that kind of tracks in the coming months in particular. So what did you think about, I guaranteed one thing, it was an easy call that Jimmy would cry, but what did you think about the faux, it wasn't really an apology, obviously. He said some things that certainly resonated. I'd like to believe him on some of the front. He said nice things about Erica Kirk, but he didn't really say, I'm sorry for blaming MAGA and he claiming a MAGA person was involved in this.
But he can't, can he? I mean, let's take aside the emotion and the anger from the right and separate all that out of it. If you look at it in practicality, he can't apologize. If he apologized, what do you think happens with the base that fought so hard for him a week ago?
Yeah,
they completely melt away,
right.
And they think that they think he's making a hostage video, right?
Yeah, they want him to be a martyr.
Right. And so if he caves and he is contrite and he says, I screwed this up, I'm going to try and do better. What do you think the fever swamp on the left's going to do? They're going to attack him and they're going to right. So he can't apologize. He's stuck.
I got to ask you about Kamala's book. A must read, don't you think?
Certainly show prep, isn't it? I mean, it certainly provides for show prep. I loved the part where she did both Michael Strahan on Good Morning America, and she did, I think it was on The View. She said this was the closest election we've had this century. This was the narrowest margin of victory this century. It's not. It's not only not the first,
not even closest. Right.
Not the second, not the third, not the fourth. It's the fifth closest out of 7. It's absolutely ludicrous, the claims that she's making. And if she's going to go after Pete Buttigieg and spin herself into circles, trying to say, well, I didn't pick him not because he was gay, but because the country knew he was gay, And I think the country wasn't ready to handle it, so I had to go a different direction. That's just spectacular. I'll take that all day long.
She's a homophobe and a bigot. That's what I would say about that. One more topic here. Is Jim Comey going to be indicted? Here's Van Jones. I heard him say this on CNN last night.
Look, I don't like Comey. No Democrat likes Comey. We see Comey as a person who threw a banana peel in front of Hillary Clinton right before she could have stopped this whole thing back in 2016. So he's no Democrat's favorite anything. But the idea that you're going to go rummaging back through the sock drawer back to 2020 to find something somebody said to put them in prison is totally nuts.
Thoughts on that?
Has anybody ever been prosecuted in this country for committing a False Statements Act violation to a federal agent?
I believe so.
Has anybody ever gone to jail for that?
Yes, they have. In fact, one of my panelists on Friday has done that. Yes.
So it seems pretty clear if Jim Comey said under oath, under penalty of perjury to Congress, X, and now it turns out Y happens to be true. Yeah, I think they should indict him. And again, it goes back to that one rule theory. We had this unwritten rule that you don't go after your political opponents, that you don't try to make a spectacle of the previous administration. It's kind of a clique. It's kind of a club. That went out the window with Donald Trump. They decided to indict him and throw everything they could at him. And I'm not saying that retribution is always the best way, but we have one rule. And if that's what the rule is, it seems to me that you're going to have some of that going the other way too.
Duane Patterson, always great to have you on. I hope all is well. You can check him out at the Duane's World Podcast and hotair.com. We'll talk again soon.
Thank you, sir.
I'm going to play some of that audio that he referenced from Glenn Youngkin and Megyn Kelly last night coming up.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Well, the accident on northbound 270 approaching Gravois is still there, and they've got the right lanes blocked, only the left lanes getting by. A solid parking lot jam behind this thing that goes back through 55. Now, other than that, we've got a jam southbound on 270, and that one starts. It's moderate volume at Page, but it really kicks in at Olive, and it's jammed all the way down to that accident site. Westbound Highway 30 has been closed, and this is kind of at Ronning Road. It was all due to a very serious accident. It's closed between Ronning Road and 141. Eastbound traffic is slow through there. It's just a mess in that corridor. In fact, eastbound Highway 30 is jammed on to the other side of 270. That is the worst of it. 64 is just the usual volume. Kings Highway out through McCausland, in pockets out through 70. There was an accident westbound 70 past Zumbel that caused a delay there. If you're headed into Illinois, things actually look fine. This report brought to you by Barron Mirror Glass and Door. Simply the finest when it comes to mirror glass and shower doors. You can't find better quality, prices, or service than at Barron Mirror Glass and Door. They have the basics all the way up to the elite. Barron Mirror Glass and Door can't be beat. I'm Sue Thomas. That's Traffic 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Many of you know that my inspiration for becoming an accident attorney was my brother Tim, who was rendered a quadriplegic at age 18. I didn't know what a personal injury lawyer was or what they did, but I soon did. Tim was treated terribly by the insurance company, and I became enraged. It was a constant delay and deny. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Tim later worked with me for 27 years. Last year, my hero died at age 65. You can see my eulogy for him by visiting mybrothertim.com. He was one hell of a man. Because of Tim, together we built the largest injury firm in the world, and our clients are treated the way I would want my family to be treated. At Morgan & Morgan, nobody is a nobody and everybody is a somebody. If you need our help, visit forthepeople.com on your phone or computer. See you soon, Tim. Morgan & Morgan, forthepeople.com.
Injured? Dial Pound Law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
When you're approaching retirement, there are a lot of questions to answer. Do you have enough money to fund your income for life? How should you claim Social Security? And what's your plan for health care and long-term care? Hi, I'm Eric Robert, Director of Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 11 on 97.1 FM Talk. Don't leave your retirement to chance. It's crucial to understand and address relevant risks before you retire. Our team can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have leaf filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/radio to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/radio for your free gutter inspection today. See representative for warranty details. Promotion is 20% off plus a 10% senior or military discount. One discount per household.
Now back to Mark Reardon, calling out the nonsense, one segment at a time. 97.1 FM Talk.
Well, the pairings came out a little earlier this afternoon for opening round of the Ryder Cup tomorrow at Bethpage Black in New York. Dan Reardon, no relation, our PGA golf expert, will join us here in just a few minutes to kind of preview the Ryder Cup. It's a different format. It's not like your regular PGA Tour event, which they're usually 4 days. This is 3 days. There's match play. There are unique circumstances, and there's a scoring system, and you have to get to 14.5 points to win the Ryder Cup. And then I saw, get this confirmed from Dan. I read today that if they tie 14-14, that the previous Ryder Cup winner, which would be the Europeans, would win. I don't like that at all. There should be some tiebreaker, but we'll find out from Dan here in a few minutes. Let me play some of that audio. You know, there was quite an event last night in Virginia, and Erica Kirk, listen to this Nazi propaganda from Erica Kirk. How awful some of the things she says.
The greatest cause in Charlie's life was trying to revive the American family. When he spoke to young people, he was always eager to tell them about God's vision for marriage and how, if they could just dare to live it out, it would enrich every part of their life. To all the men watching around the world, accept Charlie's challenge and embrace true manhood. Be strong and courageous for your families. Love your wives and lead them. Love your children and protect them. Your wife is not your slave. She is your helper. You are not rivals. You are one flesh working together for the glory of God.
I don't know how she does it, 2 weeks after. And I'm going to say something here. I think a lot of people will be able to relate to this because I made the mistake, Sue, of watching the video, a couple of versions of the video when Charlie was shot. Did you make that mistake? I hope you didn't.
No.
It keeps playing in my mind
Mark.
because and I don't want to go into details and describe it. I think people have seen it, but it just I keep thinking about it because every time I hear her and I think of the kids and what everyone, that's what makes this different is that it would be one thing if this was not, I think there'd still be a reaction. Don't get me wrong, but the reaction is a lot more intense because of the way it went down in front of people, live streaming, caught on camera from different angles, all of that stuff. Here's Glenn Youngkin. I love Glenn Youngkin. He had some great messaging last night.
He challenged us to do more than sit on the sidelines. He challenged us to engage in thoughtful dialogue. Of course, recognizing we had to do it with respect, but to fully engage.
Playing the role of Charlie Kirk last night, Megyn Kelly.
Why you support a president who contributes to the rhetoric that got your friend Charlie killed? How can you support him when he contributed to what got Charlie killed?
Assumes facts, not evidence. What you said is not true. Let me take on the first part of it, the premise of your question, that it was President Trump's rhetoric that led to an assassin killing our friend Charlie Kirk. That's a blatant lie. It's a defamatory, blaspheme, and it's inappropriate in this setting.
That's not what I said.
We know. Yes, it is.
No, I said he contributed to the political atmosphere.
Well, then you have no point.
Tension.
Then your point is utterly empty. Contributing to the atmosphere. This guy was, no, let's just make clear. This guy was motivated by leftist ideology. We know it from the bullet casings. We know it from the Utah governor. We know it from his own mother. Yes, we do. Let's be really clear on that.
I mean, it's not even debatable at this
Jeez.
point. Megan did a good job with that last night.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
On the roads, there was an accident on northbound 270 just right before Gravois, and it has really caused delays in that area. If you are traveling there, they still have the right lanes blocked. A couple of left lanes getting by, but still a parking lot back through 55. Southbound 270 lines up back through Olive, and we've got westbound Highway 30 closed at Ronning Road. It was a serious accident out there between Ronning Road and 141. It's closed. Eastbound is a parking lot in that area as well. It's just not the place to be. 44 is fine if you want to just take that. Now, westbound 40, that's lined up. It's pockets, Kings Highway, out through the 70 split. 70, slow pockets between Jennings Station Road and Wentzville. And we still look good. Listen, if you are headed into Illinois, things look fine on the bridges downtown. 55, by the way, is jammed headed down toward Bates. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Climate Masters. We specialize in older homes. Climate Masters Heating and Cooling. Trusted heating and cooling installation and maintenance service. Keeping the St. Louis Metro comfortable since 1978. Call us today at 314-968-8383. Climate Masters.
Dan Reardon is going to join us with a preview of the Ryder Cup. And I just realized something. I'm even more excited about Underdog Fantasy because when I opened up my app, you can do, all right, there's an NFL game tonight. So let me just kind of lay this out. You can play Underdog in Missouri. You got to download the app. I'm going to guide you into some bonus credits in a minute. But you could, for example, with the football game tonight, you can choose Kyler Murray. Will he have fewer or more than 28.5 rushing yards? And then you can pick Marvin Harrison Jr. for receiving yards. Will he have more than 47.5? I hope yes, because he's on my fantasy team. But you can also put in maybe someone from the Ryder Cup team like Bryson DeChambeau. Will he have more than 2.25 total points won over the weekend during the Ryder Cup? So lots of fun to be had on Underdog this weekend in particular. Get signed up, get up on there, make plays, win money. You can play with as little as $1. You can win up to 5,000 times your money. And we're going to give you a little bit more bonus cash as you head into this weekend. Use the promo code MARKR. That will score you $50 in bonus funds when you play your first $5. Again, the promo code is MARKR. Must be 18 plus and present in Missouri. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Concerned with your play, call 800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org.
Stop just trying to paint and patch up the outside of your home. It's time to give it a permanent upgrade with James Hardy fiber cement siding from Lakeside Renovation and Design. This siding is designed to stand up to all the crazy weather we get here in Missouri, and it looks fantastic. Lakeside is a James Hardy elite preferred contractor. Whole team, by the way, is in-house, and they're going to take care of all the details, the color, the trim, everything to customize it to your home, to take the stress off of your plate. If your home is showing any signs of wear, it's time to take the next step. Visit lakesiderd.com.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-908-8646 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-908-8646. That's 800-908-8646. What do you have to lose? Call 800-908-8646. Again, 800-908-8646.
This is James Hawkins, president of Golden Oak.
I am excited to announce the opening of Golden Oak Premier Realty. We're your one-stop shop for financing and buying your home. Not moving? Rates are low and your home's equity is higher than ever. Refinancing with Golden Oak now can save you thousands. Whether you're buying, selling, or refinancing, call Golden Oak today.
Golden Oak Landing, showing my blues.
NMLS 114937.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
5:35. This portion of the show is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air.
Built in the heartland for the heartland. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
All right, I'm very excited about the Ryder Cup. If you love professional golf, this could be a heck of a weekend at Bethpage Black, and it looks like the U.S. needs to get off to a good start because the last time that the U.S. team trailed Europeans after the first day and then won the cup, that was 1999. In the past 10 Ryder Cups, Team Europe has won 7 times. Boo! And in 5 of those instances, it had the lead after the opening day. Dan Reardon, our golf expert, no relation, with us this afternoon to talk about the Ryder Cup. Hello, Dan. How are you?
I'm doing fine, Mark. And remember that from a betting standpoint, there are 28 individual competitions that take place over the 3 days.
Yeah.
And you can place bets on every one of those.
I know. It's going to be exciting. Now, even for someone like me who loves the game, who follows PGA Tour events on a regular basis, the Ryder Cup sometimes throws me a curveball because I can't understand what the hell they're doing with the scoring. So explain how this works, because the pairings were announced for tomorrow morning, and you have for the Europeans Rahm and Hatton against DeChambeau and Thomas at 7:10 a.m. That's Eastern time, so 6:10 here. Aberg and Fitzpatrick for the Europeans against Scheffler and Henley. McIlroy and Fleetwood for the Europeans against Morikawa and English. And McIntyre and Hovland against Schauffele and Cantlay. I love the DeChambeau Thomas against Rahm and Hatton. That one really intrigues me. But explain the format and how this works after tomorrow morning into the weekend, Dan.
I think it's easier to understand if you don't use the old-fashioned terms of foursomes and 4 balls and just say alternate shot, which is what they're playing in the morning,
right?
And best ball, which we play in this country all the time in the afternoon. And they'll do that on Friday, and they'll do it again on Saturday, and then on Sunday it'll be individual competition. The other important thing that really sets us apart is it's match play, which means for people who don't follow golf, if you have a score on a hole, let's say you have a 5 on a hole, when you tee up on the next hole, you start from scratch again because every hole is an individual competition.
Right.
So you there's no total score. You're not going out to try to shoot 70 or 69 or something like that. You're trying to win 18 individual competitions in all of these matches. And by the way, going back to that first group, I know Luke Donald and Keegan Bradley are the captains. That first group had to be drawn up by Vince McMahon. That's WWC kind of.
Yeah, really. That's a hell, man. It makes me want to get up early tomorrow and watch that for sure. So explain.
Let me just give you a couple of things about that. First of all, 3 of the 4 players are the only 3 players from LIV involved in the Ryder Cup. That's DeChambeau, Rahm, and Hatton.
Yeah.
Rahm and Hatton are famous for playing angry. All 4 of these are 4 of the 5 most volatile players in this field. Rory McIlroy would be the 5th in that situation. So you got that. And then let's just give you a little tease. Bryce, the first hole at Bethpage Black is 365 yards. Bryson DeChambeau has already announced that unless the winner intervenes, he's going to try to drive the green. So we'll look for a little entertainment at 6:10. The skyrockets will go off.
Oh my goodness. So then what happens in the afternoon tomorrow? Because there's different pairings for the afternoon.
That's correct. In the afternoon, they go to the best ball. There's 16 players on the course on the groups. You'll have different players in the afternoon. You'll have some of the same players. The fact that DeChambeau is out in this foursomes, which is not a format that he's been very successful with, means he'll probably play at least 3, if not 4, of the 5 matches available to him. Scheffler being out, everybody is expecting Scheffler to go all 5 unless something intervenes. So the afternoon groups will be different, but they're not required to be different. And the other thing that's unique about this year, the European team is exactly the same team that won in Rome, except for 1 player, and that 1 player is replaced his own brother. So they're just 1 letter away from being the exact same team that won in Rome, and that's never happened before.
Yeah, that's interesting. So is there an advantage for the Europeans from this perspective? I was watching some of the coverage last night on the Golf Channel. So Rome, that's not a typical tour stop for the PGA players, or maybe even LIV. So you have a course that people are not as used to playing over there. Bethpage is a course, I don't know how many of these guys have competed on it, but it's certainly more familiar. Is that a little bit of an advantage for the Europeans because there's more familiarity with the golf course?
Your thinking is correct, and it will be a little bit of leveling the playing field. But in 2019, they played the PGA at Bethpage Black, and most of these players were in that field, so they have that to draw from. But the setup on the course is entirely different. This course is being set up for birdies. When they played Bethpage in 2019 for the PGA, when they played Bethpage, when Tiger won there in 2003 or 2001, whatever that was, they played with rough, they played with tough conditions. This course is set up for guys that can hit the ball a long way and not necessarily hit it straight. This is an American setup to this golf course, just like when they played Rome and when they played in Paris, they gave them high rough and penalized the players that hit the ball a long way, but not necessarily straight. So yeah, it is a bit of a leveling of the playing field as far as the Europeans are concerned, but not as much as you might think.
All right, Dan, talk about the Ryder Cup versus other PGA and other golf tournaments when it comes to atmosphere and just the energy from the players and the celebrations that go on, because this is a much more intense atmosphere where the crowd is in it. You know, we have these polite golf crowds and the quiet signals that go up from the, the course rangers and stuff like that. It's a little different at the Ryder Cup, isn't it?
Imagine that the 16th hole at Phoenix
it was every hole.
All 18 holes at the Masters.
Exactly.
And you've got what that is like. Okay. And there's concern. And, I talked to Justin Leonard when he was in town a couple of weeks ago. There's concern about New York galleries. They got involved in 2019 with the players. There were a lot of bad moments that took place at Bethpage at that time. And there is concern going there. I was at Hazeltine 8 years ago when on the final day, Rory McIlroy on his way to the 16th tee started to go over the ropes because he got a very ugly statement from a spectator. I hope we're not going to see that in New York, but the possibility is there. But I do think I can guarantee you this will be the biggest spectacle in the history of the Ryder Cup because of the venue, because of the galleries, and because you have unique circumstances. This is the only Ryder Cup where the number one player in the world was on the U.S. team and the number two player in the world was on the European team. If we don't get McIlroy Scheffler on Sunday in the finals, and they can't fix it, but if we can't get that, I'll be sorely disappointed.
Yeah, that'd be something to look forward to for sure. It just seems like the Europeans have our number in this event, though, doesn't it?
Well, ever since this used to be just Britain and Ireland against the U.S., and they changed that in the early 80s. And now you're playing against an entire continent. And so it has leveled things. I mean, in the history of the event, the Americans have a commanding lead. But since they combined with Europe, the U.S. trails in that. But the other thing is, I think the last 5 Ryder Cups have all been won by the home team. In fact, Rory McIlroy said, after they won in Rome, he said, the only thing I want is I want to win on U.S. soil. And Rory, by the way, was asked about, he lives in the U.S., and he just raved about what a wonderful country and what a privilege it's been for him to live here. His wife and his child are citizens, all of those kinds of things. But home teams traditionally have had the advantage. And the last time the U.S. was at home, they were at Whistling Straits, and they didn't have a European crowd because there was a hangover from COVID.
Right.
So the last volatile crowd we've seen in the U.S. was at Hazeltine. And I'm telling you, again, I was out with Rory and Thomas Peters on Saturday, and their fiancés were walking with them. And the abuse that they were getting from the American galleries was so intense that I went up to both of those women and said, as an American, I'm apologizing for what I'm hearing.
So when you say ugly things, you just inappropriate profanity, whatever else might be involved, drunk people just saying stupid stuff at a golf tournament is what I'm hearing.
You've captured all of those. Going back, we're talking about Justin Leonard. When the Ryder Cup was at Brookline on Sunday, Payne Stewart, the late Payne Stewart, saw Colin Montgomery getting so much abuse that he said, you walk next to me the rest of this day, and I'll protect you from these fans, that kind of thing. when Rory was there at Hazeltine, he had just broken up with Carolyn Wozniak, the tennis player, who he had been, I think they were engaged in fact. And yet when Rory was playing, the galleries kept singing Sweet Caroline. Okay, that's personal, and I think that's inappropriate.
Ooh, well, I'd have to think about one. Yeah, it is inappropriate, but that's creative on the part of the fans. There's no doubt about that. We've never had a Ryder Cup here, have we?
Yes, we have. As Old Warson Country Club in the 70s.
Look at that. Now, we do get, if I'm not mistaken, the President's Cup's a little different. That's when the Americans face off against the rest of the world, but not the Europeans, and that's coming to Belle Reve in 2030, I think.
And that's as lopsided a competition as we've seen, but it's getting closer every year. And it is different. They play 4 days. They play 5 matches. And by the way, you had raised the question, they don't have ties at the President's Cup. There have been 2 ties in the history of the Ryder Cup. One was 69, and they left it as a tie. The other one was 89, and at that time the Cup went back to Europe because they won in 87. By the way, my first Ryder Cup was 87 at Muirfield Village, won by the Europeans.
But so the time, this is what I said earlier. You tell me if this is wrong. If it does end up 14-14, 14 and a half wins the points, wins the Ryder Cup. If it ends up tied 14-14, then the Europeans win by default because that's the tiebreaker because they won last time.
Technically, they don't win, but they retain the cup.
Okay, I see what you mean.
In other words, in order to get the cup, you have to beat the opponent.
Yes.
But if they tie, it's a tie. They don't win the Ryder Cup.
Well, that's stupid. There shouldn't be a tie. As someone who was at the only tie in Major League Baseball, the All-Star game in 2003 or 4, whenever the hell that was at Miller Park, it was embarrassing. There shouldn't be a tie in an event like this. That's all I'm going to say, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, Mark, I have credentials to be there, and I opted not to go because I didn't want to deal with Long Island. I didn't want to deal with New York, and I have great remote access. But I will tell you, they ducked a serious problem early in the week when the president stepped in and settled a transit workers strike, which would have disabled the galleries entirely trying to get to Bethpage.
Oh, I did hear something about that. That's good news. So is there any way before you leave us here to handicap this at all? I mean, you got to start looking first thing in the morning because Bryson doesn't get off to a good start and he hasn't really in this competition on the first day, then that might be a bad sign. But how do you handicap this thing and bring it home for the Americans, Dan?
If the Americans win the morning foursomes, it's very likely they'll win the cup. That's the way the format will lay out. So pay attention, particularly to the morning foursomes. And the only one where they're sort of the underdog would be McIlroy and Fleetwood, which is a powerful combination against Morikawa, and I've forgotten who was paired with Morikawa. But if the Americans win, they will likely go on to win. They will be stronger in the singles traditionally than the Europeans will be, and they need to just hold their own. And quite honestly, going in, I thought the U.S. would be beaten easily. I think Keegan Bradley has done an absolutely brilliant job of bringing this team together. I've sat in on every interview when we visit. I've never been around a U.S. team or heard from a U.S. team that is so we-oriented and so determined, even to the point that Bradley on Monday took him out to the first tee at Bethpage and brought in the son of a fireman who died in 2001 at 9/11, and he gave a speech that had them all in tears. Keegan has been sensational. If his groups hold up, he'll be the one that wins this championship.
It was Mr. Bill O'Reilly that broke this news to me a couple of days ago that my friend Mike Del Giudice, who is a band member of Billy Joel, is going to sing the national anthem at the Ryder Cup. So I think that's pretty awesome. I sent Mike a note of congratulations on that. All right, Dan, let's get a report tomorrow, and we'll see where we are and how on track we are to win this cup by this time tomorrow night.
Enjoy it, Mark.
All right, take care. Thank you. Audio cut of the day coming up.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Boy, we've really had a mess on 270 approaching Gravois tonight. Accident there blocking the right lanes, and we just have a parking lot back through 55. And southbound, by the way, it is on the right side, so bear to the left. Southbound 270, still some slow pockets. It's now approaching Manchester down through the accident site, and westbound Highway 30 reportedly still closed from Ronning Road through 141. Just avoid that area. There was an accident there earlier. And southbound 141, It's just jammed. It's heavy and slow approaching Big Bend at down through 44. Now, 44 westbound is slowing at 270, but other than that, it's good. Now, westbound 40 is jammed, and this is from Kings Highway. Uh-oh, Mark.
Well, I can do a little commercial here if you want to take a break, because I know how
it
that
goes
happens.
through Clayton Skinker. I think I'm all right.
Are you all right?
Thank you.
I
Eastbound
can talk if you want me to.
is slow around the Interbelt. I think I'll do it.
Okay.
And out west, we've got some volume, 70 at 64. If you're headed into Illinois, it looks good. I'm Sue Thomas. That's traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
You did it. See,
Woo!
you did it.
Enjoy your land the way you've always dreamed of. Learn more at MissouriBrushControl.com. Missouri Brush Control is helping landowners reclaim their property, manage vegetation, and clear land for better views. Enjoy your land the way you've always dreamed of. Missouri Brush Control, making acreage great again. Visit MissouriBrushControl.com.
So if Ethan can turn this audio around quickly, and I know he can, there's a really good example of a fun heckle at the Ryder Cup that I'll play here. It's actually the Europeans were being heckled, but they actually appreciated the heckle. So I'll explain that to you here in a second. As long as Ethan's paying attention, does it look like he's paying attention out there? Because he can turn that one around. I've been bragging about Bitcoin Ben, who is a guy that I got to know a couple of months ago. He's from St. Louis. He was a truck driver. He now has a passion and an expertise and a level of experience that is, I think, unmatched in the crypto world. He is all about cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. That's why he's called Bitcoin Ben. And he's bringing a club to right here in St. Louis, his hometown. This will be the 7th nationwide Bitcoin Ben Crypto Club. There are a few in Florida. They have one in Nashville. There's a club in Vegas and now here in St. Louis. And this is a perfect opportunity for those of you who are like me, who are a little confused by crypto, what it's all about. How do you buy it? How do you store it? Can you get a loan for it? All of these things. We'll have meetups and live classes, etc. You can find out more by going to the website right now, bitcoinben.io. Bitcoin Ben TV is up there on YouTube. You can find out what Ben's been doing for several years now, trying to spread the message about cryptocurrency. For more information, call 941-413-8080 or the website, bitcoinben.io.
Sunday, the Chiefs are back on 97.1 FM Talk. Tune in for the game at 3:25 with pregame coverage starting at 2. 97.1 FM Talk this Sunday with the Chiefs. Game time 3:25.
Don't get lulled into believing the IRS is getting soft. It's just the opposite. Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. We are being told by IRS collection officers that their higher-ups are demanding that they get more aggressive than ever. So don't ignore them any longer. Level up. If you have unfiled returns, unpaid taxes, levies, or liens, call the Lance Story Law Firm today and let us get between you and the IRS. We'll protect your rights, including your right to appeal or even your right to take the IRS to tax court. Remember, IRS problems are legal problems, and they need to be handled by an expert attorney team who's done it for decades. So call the Lance Story Law Firm today. We're local. Our office is right here in St. Louis, or visit Lance, DRURY, law.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm, the Lance Story Law Firm, 314-260-6120.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Attention St. Louis Medicaid members. If you need assistance with daily living, you can receive a free service from Freedom Care in your own home from a loved one who lives with you. With Freedom Care, you decide who provides your daily care, helping you with preparing meals, bathing, laundry, transportation, and more. A family member or friend that gets paid weekly. This Medicaid program is available to eligible St. Louis residents. New to Medicaid? The Freedom Care family will guide you through enrollment, making it stress-free for patients and caregivers. With over 7,000 five-star Google reviews, we've perfected at-home care for Medicaid members and caregivers. If you live in the St. Louis area, this service is available through Medicaid. And with our InstaPay app, caregivers can choose to get paid weekly. So go to freedomcare.com now, or for faster service, call 314-697-4912. 314-697-4912. That's 314-697-4912.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. If you're a renter, make sure you're protected. Renter's insurance includes options that cover stolen property, personal injury, and living expenses if your place is damaged. Quote Renter's Insurance at progressive.com.
This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Oh, so excited about Sam Fender this weekend at Evolution Festival. We're going to talk more about the fest tomorrow night. He's one of the best English artists from the UK. Saturday night, one of the headliners at Evolution Festival. All right, so let's do this. I'm going to make it real short here for you this afternoon.
Stand by. Playback ready.
Now, the audio cut of the day.
So this is Ryder Cup oriented, and a bunch of the Europeans, including Rory McIlroy, they look like they're on a tee box. They might be at the range, and Rory is messing with his collar, right? Looks like he's trying to button up his shirt collar, and somebody just says this out of the crowd.
You don't need a button to choke, Rory.
But what was great about that, and that you don't get on the radio, is that Rory tipped his cap, and the rest of the Europeans laughed at that. So look, what Dan was saying, that I don't want to see people abused or stupid stuff. People get drunk on golf courses, and they do a lot of stupid things. But if it's good-natured and fun, and these guys, I'm telling you, this is such a fun weekend because, look, they're playing for their countries, and they're serious about it, and they take it seriously, and it's really fun competition. For those of you who don't usually watch professional golf, you might find yourself very entertained this weekend. I'll go out with some Sam Fender because I'm excited about this show this weekend. Sue, we'll see you tomorrow at 3.
You got it.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
We've got, there was some debris eastbound 70 reported at Highway TW. They're saying it's off on the side, so just take care through there. The accident, northbound 270 at Gravois, still blocking the 2 right lanes, and boy, do we have a jam behind that. Westbound Highway 30 reportedly still closed from Ronning Road out through 141 due to an accident. Southbound 270, slow pockets from 64 down through Gravois. Boy, 141 southbound jams approaching Big Bend through 44. Another serious jam is on westbound 6440 approaching Oakland, and the camera is turned the wrong. I can't see what the problem is, but I can see the parking lot jam that goes back past Kings Highway. And we've got some volume on 70 westbound, but it's just a little at Jennings Station Road. And then again, as you approach Highway A, eastbound 40 slowing at the inner bound, but it's not bad out west. And if you're headed into Illinois, we look good on the bridges downtown. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how linking to the market is much safer than owning the market for your retirement savings. They're the official financial advisors of my show. Go to retirementkey.com. I put a video of the Rory heckle up on my Twitter site, which is at Mark Reardon KFTK. So if you want to see the visuals of that, you can do it. How about a new shower or bath and spending not nearly as much as you would from most locations here in St. Louis? Michael's Baths comes in 30 to 50% less than the competition, and the work is high quality, just as good, if not better, than the competitors. And this is family run, owned and operated. I've gotten a chance to know Mike Gower, who is the owner. When you call, his daughter Melody will answer the call, and Tony and Mark are the experts out in the field. They've been with Mike, and all they do is bathrooms. They've been with him for a long time. So these are trusted professionals. They have a lot of experience. If you're looking for an entire remodel, they can handle that. If you're looking for they were telling me that the trend is to get rid of bathtubs and just go to walk-in showers. So that's something that they're experts in. Right now, if you mention my name or 97.1 FM Talk, you'll get not only a great bid, 30 to 50% less, a free shower door, or $500 off your project. The website is easy to remember. It's simply michaelsbaths.com. michaelsbaths.com, 636-775-0800.
One of the biggest gifts you can give your family is peace of mind. That's